Chapter 766. Immortal King didn't understand. Lord Immortal Spirit wouldn't inform them of many things. Now, this Yang Yushu was obviously one of their people. Yang family, Yang Yushu. Jiang Chongkong placed his hands behind his back and said, "You do have Yang family bloodline. Is that Yang Mo your family head?" "Lord Yang Mo, please gather in the chaos," Immortal King said and entered the barrier. Now that something had happened, it was better to let the mid-stage Immortal Venerable Yang Mo investigate personally. "Justice Immortal Venerable." Xie Tianshi looked at him and said in confusion, "You all have Yang family bloodline? Go back first, I will go to the chaos," Jiang Chongkong said. Xie Tianshi left respectfully and didn't ask to follow. Jiang Chongkong turned into light and entered the chaos. As soon as he left, Celestial Court's Heavenly Emperor followed. Celestial Court and Demon Court's Heavenly Emperors also entered the chaos. Mystic Zhen, Celestial Venerable, and Peng Lai went too. In the hazy chaos, Yang Mo sat cross-legged, the heavenly eye on his forehead opened and divine light flickered. Jiang Chongkong stepped into the chaos and came in front of Yang Mo. "You want to support Celestial Court?" Yang Mo said calmly. Jiang Chongkong asked indifferently, "Where did you guys come from?" Yang Mo frowned. He was just here to check if there were any changes. But this Yang Yushu asked where he came from? "Chaos main family," Yang Mo said. Jiang Chongkong said, "Back then, the Yang family bloodline had many ancient immortal god bloodlines. I was the only one left, how could there be a main family?" Yang Mo's expression changed. "Which branch are you from? Traitors?" "I have been in the chaos for countless years, slaying immortal spirits, slaughtering beasts and seeing some complete worlds. That is why I have the ancient immortal god bloodline," Jiang Chongkong said coldly. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Yang Mo's expression was cold and killing intent surged. The heavenly eye on his forehead shot out. "It seems like you are the same as them." Jiang Chongkong snorted and retreated, dodging the divine light. Boom! Wherever the divine light landed, the primal chaos was turbulent and turbulent. Jiang Chongkong did not make a move and directly entered the heaven realm. The three-pointed double-edged sword cut through the chaos. Yang Mo's murderous intent surged. "You sinner of the Yang clan, I remember, you betrayed the Yang clan. What a joke. You guys have the cheek to call yourselves descendants of the Yang clan?" Jiang Chongkong retreated rapidly. After all, he was only pretending to be Yang Yushu and was temporarily an ordinary immortal venerable. If his performance was too strong, the surrounding immortal venerables would most likely guess that it was him. Boom! The void of the heavenly realm was torn apart, and Jiang Chongkong quickly dodged. A ray of golden light swept past and Yang Mo was sent flying. The Celestial Emperor of the Immortal Court appeared. "We just met, why did you start fighting? We're all of the Yang bloodline. It's not good for us to kill each other." The Divine Court's Celestial Emperor appeared. The Demon Arch also said, "We should be working together to fight against the Celestial Spirit. How can we kill each other?" Yang Mo's expression was gloomy. "Yang Yushu is a traitor of the Yang clan. He defected to the Celestial Spirit." "What a joke. I slaughtered many chaotic beasts and was rewarded by the heavenly Tao." Jiang Chongkong sneered. "Are you worried that I will say it? Yang Mo, do you dare to say what's in those small worlds?" "Why not? The small worlds are where the Yang clan's bloodline gathers," Yang Mo said coldly. Jiang Chongkong said coldly, "More than that. Why didn't you mention anything about the chaotic beasts you served?" "Bullshit. We only know how to kill chaotic beasts. Serve? What a joke." Yang Mo said angrily. "Defected to the celestial spirits and want to frame our Yang clan? Both sides have their own version of events. Let's stop for now and let the Celestial Emperors investigate." The Demon Arch said plainly. "Let's go." The Celestial Emperor of the Immortal Court left with Jiang Chongkong. The other immortal venerables left one after another. Yang Mo snorted. He was unwilling, but he could only return. How could an early-stage, immortal venerable avoid his attacks? If he couldn't kill him directly, how would he dare to say it? Could he say that the Yang clan's bloodline was a descendant of an ancient immortal god? Wasn't he afraid of being punished by the celestial spirits? Or was it a show arranged by the celestial spirits to send them to their graves? Yang Mo couldn't figure out what Yang Yushu was thinking. Through the bloodline stimulation and the restriction, he should be one of them. In the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, all the immortals retreated, leaving only the Celestial Emperor and Jiang Changkong. Justice Immortal Venerable, you hid a lot from me, the Celestial Emperor of the Immortal Court said solemnly. He said he didn't know Yang Mo and the others, but he was exposed the moment they met. Jiang Changkong said calmly, I have not seen the other Yang clan's bloodline, but have I seen the other ancient immortal god's bloodline? The Celestial Emperor frowned. Tell me the details. I have to start from the chaotic abyss left by Sage Nuwa. Jiang Changkong told him about the ancient immortal god's bloodline, the descendants of an ancient immortal god created by the celestial spirit. He didn't say anything about Lu Qian, hiding it. The Celestial Emperor frowned. That means they are different from you. You are not created by the celestial spirits? That's right, I am of pure Yang clan's bloodline. I was the only one who escaped back then. Jiang Changkong said. The Celestial Emperor said, the celestial spirits have restrictions on their souls. Do you dare to let me check? Of course. Jiang Changkong kept the restrictions in his soul. It was fine as long as he didn't pry into his memories. A strand of immortal light entered Jiang Changkong's body and searched his soul, but didn't sense any restrictions. If there were restrictions, his divine power would destroy the soul of the person before him. The celestial spirits created the descendants of an ancient immortal god. The Celestial Emperor frowned. What do the two Celestial Emperors think? The void rippled, and the Beast Emperor and Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Court appeared. Jiang Changkong. These three had been hiding beside him all along. I believe his words. The Beast Emperor said. The Celestial Emperor frowned. I still have my doubts. Jiang Changkong frowned. It is not appropriate for me to be here when the three Celestial Emperors are talking. I will take my leave. No rush. I still have questions for you. The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor said, Where did the ancient immortal gods go? I do not know. Saint Hudu only talked to a few half-sages. Jiang Changkong repeated Lu Qian's words. What happened to the small worlds you saw in the chaos? They were all destroyed. Those that could not be destroyed, I could only retreat. The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor said, That means you know many small worlds? The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor and the Beast Emperor looked at him expectantly. If he could find those small worlds, would he be able to capture the chaos beasts and obtain the power of heaven? I do not know the exact location, but I can find them, Jiang Changkong said. With the Chaos Bone Dragon in hand, he should be able to find the new small worlds and even their lair. The premise was that the world they were in had the remnant power of the tributary of time. Go and rest. I have something to discuss with the two Celestial Emperors. The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor waved his hand. Jiang Changkong left the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. What do you think? Is this Yang Yushu another method arranged by the celestial spirits? The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor asked. It does not matter. The celestial spirits have already chosen the Celestial Court. The Celestial Court Celestial Emperor said coldly, It is not like before. Chapter 767. Jiang Changkong did not know what they were talking about. He returned to the palace and sat cross-legged. The three Celestial Emperors discussed for 2 days before leaving. On this day, a Celestial Emperor came to his palace. Jiang Changkong opened his eyes. Celestial Emperor, are you looking for me? Yang Yushu, which lord sent you here? Celestial Emperor lowered his voice and asked coldly. Jiang Chongkong raised his eyebrows. You are from Celestial Spirit? Celestial Emperor frowned and his expression darkened. Stop pretending. Lord has already given me the authority. If you don't say it, I can easily activate the restriction and destroy your soul. You can try, Jiang Chongkong said calmly. Fine, you are seeking death. Celestial Emperor snorted and a divine light shattered. However, Jiang Chongkong was unharmed and just looked at him coldly. How is this possible? Celestial Emperor was shocked. He had clearly activated the restriction and sensed that the person in front of him was one of their people. But why did it not work? Look behind you, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Celestial Emperor's body stiffened and he slowly turned around. His face was filled with fear. Celestial Court, Celestial Emperor. I really did not expect there to be an immortal spirit that the mountain river map could not find. Celestial Emperor snorted and a golden light suppressed the Celestial Emperor in front of him. The immortal spirit shattered and dissipated between heaven and earth. Celestial Emperor did not obtain the power of heaven. It is not an immortal spirit. Celestial Emperor frowned. Obviously, there is a traitor, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Celestial Emperor's expression was gloomy. Justice, Celestial Sovereign, someone carved immortal characters on Mount Buzhou. When Moon God ascends to Taiyin, it will be the time when Celestial Court unifies Heaven Realm. What do you think about this? If Celestial Court unifies Heaven Realm, it will be the day of Heaven Realm's destruction. Jiang Chongkong stood up and said indifferently, Yang Yushu will stand beside Celestial Emperor and fight against Celestial Court. I am worried that Celestial Court's power is no longer enough, Celestial Court, Celestial Emperor said solemnly. Why not strike first and gain the upper hand? Jiang Chongkong was puzzled. I also want to make the first move, but the Immortal Court alone is not enough to take down the Heavenly Court. The Heavenly Emperor of the Immortal Court sighed. Jiang Chongkong frowned. What about the Demon Court and the Divine Court? Who will be the main force? The Heavenly Emperor of the Immortal Court asked with a heavy expression. Jiang Chongkong said solemnly, This matter concerns the survival of the Heaven Realm. Those two Heavenly Emperors should know how serious it is. Joining forces is the best strategy. Sigh. The Heavenly Emperor of the Immortal Court sighed and looked in the direction of the Heavenly Court. The situation is complicated. I hope the two Heavenly Emperors can understand. Jiang Chongkong did not speak anymore. Previously, the Demon Emperors they all came over. These three Heavenly Emperors should have joined forces long ago. He was only a judicial immortal venerate. He really did not know what to do. However, he could get the Fiend Monarch to probe the Fiend Arch. After the Heavenly Emperor of the Immortal Court left, Jiang Chongkong continued to sit cross-legged and cultivate. The Demon Sovereign also left the Demon Imperial Palace and headed towards the Demon Sovereign Palace. The Fiend Monarch was drinking wine and seemed to be in a good mood. Brother, you are here. Sit. Big brother, the immortal characters of the Heavenly Court have appeared in Buzhou Mountain again. Recently, the Yang family bloodline has returned. The situation is not good. The Fiend Monarch said. The Fiend Monarch's expression sank. Brother, you are right. I also thought of striking first and gaining the upper hand. However, the Heavenly Court is too strong. The Demon Court might not be able to take them down. What if we join forces with the Immortal Court and the Divine Court? The Fiend Monarch asked. Those two Heavenly Emperors are very cunning. They want the Demon Court to charge and weaken the Demon Court. The Fiend Monarch sneered. The Fiend Monarch thought for a moment and asked, Then do you have a way to deal with it? Brother, don't worry. I have already started to migrate back to the Celestial World to develop. The Fiend Monarch said calmly. The Fiend Monarch, fine, you don't want to tell me. Go back to the Celestial World to develop? Who are you trying to fool? The Fiend Monarch said proudly, Brother, don't worry. Ever since the primordial era, The monster race has not been wiped out. I know how to hide well. Why do you sound so arrogant when you talk about hiding? The Demon Emperor smiled faintly. Big Brother is extremely capable and can naturally ensure the survival of the demon race. However, Big Brother must not forget to revive the demon court. I wouldn't dare to forget even for a single day. Second brother, let's drink. The Demon Emperor called out. He wasn't willing to talk too much. The Demon Emperor didn't say anything else. He drank a few cups of wine and left. The monster Tharch chuckled and looked in the direction of the heavenly court with anticipation. Just as he returned to the Demon King's palace, the jade token flashed and a message came. Demon King, save me, Toda is willing to be loyal to Demon King forever. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, what's wrong with you? The Demon Emperor was startled. Why did he suddenly ask for help? I can't stay in the Sky Court any longer. I haven't dared to return to the Sky Court for 7 days. I'm now near the barrier of Mount Bujo. Demon King, please take me in. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King said with a hint of anxiety and fear. The Demon Emperor said, then come over here. Thank you, Demon King. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King was overjoyed. Jiang Chongkong ordered Northern Demon to welcome Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King. Half a day later, Northern Demon brought the Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King to the Demon Imperial Palace. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, why are you in such dire straits? Jiang Chongkong looked at Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King in surprise. The long robe and golden armor from before had now turned into ordinary clothes. His face was pale and haggard. His hair was messy and there were some weeds and dust on it. Demon King, the Heavenly Court has changed. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King said bitterly. Ever since the Yang family's bloodline returned, the Heavenly Court has gone crazy. Tell me in detail. Jiang Chongkong said. Ever since the Yang family's bloodline returned, some of the immortals in the Heavenly Court became their food. Some immortal kings went to find Celestial Tharch, but no one came back alive. A few days ago, I was in Mount Bujo and saw the Yang family's immortal kings eating the immortals' corpses. They are even more evil than the evil demons. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King's eyes flashed with fear. I don't dare to return to the Heavenly Court anymore. I've been hiding in Mount Bujo, afraid that they will find me. The Demon Emperor frowned. What about Heavenly King Ziwei? Heavenly King Ziwei is close to Celestial Tharch and has a good relationship with the Yang family. The Yang family agreed to help him get Ziwei immortal position. Now, Heavenly King Ziwei is also on their side, helping them prepare immortals. The Demon Emperor! What a madman! The Celestial Tharch of the Heavenly Court has gone crazy. The Demon Emperor sighed. If the heavens want them to die, they will make them go crazy. However, it was not the heavens that wanted the Heavenly Court to die, it was the Heavenly Court that asked for it. The Demon Emperor did not know why the 3 courts had been enduring and did not attack the Heavenly Court. What about Zilan and Fairy Yushue? Jiang Chongkong asked. The 2 fairies are fine. Fairy Yushue is preparing to ascend to the lunar star. She will take Fairy Zilan with her. The Heavenly Court is no longer suitable for the 2 fairies, they can only choose to leave. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King said in a low voice, I heard that the Yang family is still thinking about Moon Goddess. Unfortunately, the Demon Emperor is not willing to attack the Heavenly Court. The Demon Emperor sighed. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, stay here, I will protect you. Thank you, Demon Emperor. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King kowtowed. Sun Wuxing, take the Heavenly King to rest and treat him well. Do not bully him, the Demon Emperor ordered. Yes, Demon Emperor. Sun Wuxing replied respectfully and left with Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King. Sun Wuxuan crossed his legs. Demon Emperor, can this Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King be trusted? Let Wuxing watch him, the Demon Emperor said solemnly. I really do not understand the 3 celestial thearchs. Chapter 768. Inside the Yao King Palace, Sun Wuxuan played with the shrunken ocean godly needle. Yao King, think about it and know what they want to do. HM? The Yao King frowned. Sun Wuxuan grinned, showing his fangs. The ocean godly needle turned into 2 rays of golden light, forming 2 figures. One figure chewed on the other, then a bolt of lightning struck down. The Yao King smiled. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, why don't you just say it? The Yao King understood. It wasn't that the 3 courts didn't want to work together, but that they had done so long ago. They were waiting for Heavenly Court to go crazy, waiting for them to turn into evil demons. That way they could harvest the power of heaven. But then, who knew how many immortals would die in the hands of Heavenly Court? How many people will be left in the heavenly realm after this purge? The Yao King sighed. Sun Wuxuan shook his head. As long as they can improve and obtain the power of heaven, they can sacrifice as many immortals as they want. How did these 4 become celestial emperors? The Yao King's expression was cold. Sun Wuxuan shook his head. He didn't know how they became celestial emperors. Now that the 3 courts didn't move, the Yao King couldn't do anything. His strength was not enough to fight Heavenly Court. Not even with his main body. Unless they could speed up Heavenly Court's progress and make Heavenly Court act. Moon God? The Yao King thought about it but felt it was impossible. The return of the Moon God was just a reminder. It couldn't make Heavenly Court act in advance. Yao King, something happened. The East Sea Dragon King's projection appeared on Mount Buzhou. Sun Yuan walked in and said respectfully, East Sea Dragon King? The Yao King asked, to be more specific. The East Sea Dragon King's projection appeared where the dragon egg disappeared. Although it can't be touched, the projection showed the news. The East Sea Dragon King wants the substitute Dragon King, Jiang Chongkong, to ascend Mount Buzhou. Sun Yuan said. Jiang Chongkong is far away in the chaos, and the barrier of Mount Buzhou is still there. Celestial emperors can't enter. The Yao King frowned. Sun Wuxuan said, the stately painting has been thrown out. Some forces are unwilling to clear the immortal spirits, causing us celestial emperors to be unable to cross the barrier. We have to deal with Heavenly Court first. The demon sovereign sighed. He had already sensed that the Mountain River map was in the Heavenly Court. After using it, the immortal slaying sect secretly handed it over to the Heavenly Court. Sun Yuan retreated. The demon emperor waved his hand and said, all of you, rest. Let's see how long they can endure. On the immortal court side, the main body's incarnation Yang Yushu also didn't make any movements. Now they were all waiting, unwilling to make a move. The people of the Yang family also became more and more arrogant. Not only did the Heavenly Court Heavenly Emperor not punish them, but he also ordered his subordinates to prepare immortal divinities for them as food. Many immortal kings of the heavenly courts began to flee, hiding in Mount Buzhou, betraying the heavenly courts and joining the 3 courts. If they were unlucky, they would be killed by the bloodline of the Yang clan in Buzhou Mountain. The people of the 3 courts only accepted these celestial kings and did not fight with the bloodline of the Yang family. It was as if they had silently agreed to their actions. Jiang Chongkong's main body was in the immortal court. He wanted to do something but he didn't know what to do. The Yang family's area of activity was within the heavenly court's territory. They did not intrude into the immortal court's territory. He wanted to go and kill, but after entering, he might not be able to come out. Lu Qian, who was in his body, could only remain silent when he heard this news. Old Lu, what do you think we should do now? Jiang Chongkong asked. In this situation, it was better not to come back and kill in the chaos. Lu Qian did not answer. He closed his eyes and sank into his divine power. Time passed. Another month passed. Rumble. On this day, the heavenly realm shook. In the direction of the heavenly court, thick cold energy fell on the heavenly realm. The cold energy, the power of the moon star. The moon star erupted with dazzling divine light. Silver-white moonlight enveloped the entire heavenly realm. Moon God, it's time to go to the moon. Jiang Chongkong looked in the direction of the heavenly court. A fairy in a white dress stepped on the moonlight and floated toward the moon star. She looked down at the heavenly court. There was disgust, reluctance, and deep fear. The sky was filled with the resplendent light, celebrating the return of the moon god. The previous moon god brought Fairy Xylan to the moon star before her. If I take this step, perhaps it will be eternity. Jiang Chongkong sighed softly. Guarding the moon star forever. Unless the heavenly Tao was destroyed or the heavenly Tao gave up on her, she would be free. Now, the immortals and gods pursued immortal positions. They wanted to be like the ancient immortals and be favored by the heavens. However, the price to pay for great power was much greater than cultivating on his own. Rumble. The return of the moon god shook the heavenly court. The entire heavenly court received a portion of the power of heaven. The celestial Tharch received even more. Fairy Yushua's figure slowly disappeared in the moonlight. Some powerful figures peered through space to spy on the moon star. The empty moon palace was left with only the cold. Fairy Yushua entered the moon palace. Fairy Xylan and the previous moon god had been waiting for a long time. Congratulations, moon god, on returning to the moon star, the moon god said coldly. Fairy Yushua opened her mouth. She suddenly had a bad feeling. Master, you've already guessed it. The previous moon god's eyes turned cold. Her figure slowly dissipated. It's time for me to leave. Why? Am I the only one left? Fairy Yushua clutched the moon god's hand tightly, unwilling to let her leave. I have my own path. My main body is still alive. I want to find it. The moon god said calmly. After teaching you, there is no need for me to stay. Take care. Master, I've lost everything. Only you and Xylan are left. Yushua clutched hard. Her nails almost pierced into the moon god's wrist. The moon god's voice was still cold, but now there was a hint of ruthlessness. The heavens have always been ruthless. You will get used to it. Her body completely dissipated. Only a speck of moonlight remained in the moon palace. Fairy Xylan stood at the side. Seeing this scene, her heart ached. She looked in the direction of the heavenly court. What would happen to her in the end? The moon god returned. The three courts prepared at the same time. The previous moon god's signal had been sent. They were going to attack and harvest the crazy heavenly court. Boom! The three courts erupted with extreme immortal light at the same time. Towering shadows of emperors stood proudly in the void. The celestial court raises its army and declares war on the heavenly court. The demons of the demon court declare war on the heavenly court. The gods of the celestial court declare war on the heavenly court and slay the demons. The three celestial emperors stood up at the same time. At this time, they finally could not hold it in anymore. Powerful auras and immortals gathered into an army of immortals. They were vast and endless. Where the demon court was, tens of thousands of demons bowed. The demon army had long been prepared. In the celestial court army, many gods gathered. Ji Chang'an, who had become an immortal emperor, led a group of soldiers. In the celestial court army, Jiang Chongkong also led a group. Boom! In the direction of the heavenly court, a terrifying wave of air swept through half of the heavenly realm. A towering figure appeared and looked down on the entire heavenly realm. You think I don't know what you are planning? A celestial emperor has become a demon. You have ultimately chosen the wrong path. The demon emperor said coldly. Don't you find it funny to say this between us? The heavenly court celestial emperor mocked. The heavenly Tao is with me. Even if I face the three of you alone, I can still win. Chapter 769. Jiang Chongkong led 1,000,000 celestial soldiers and 3 immortal emperors to attack Heavenly Court's barrier. Back then, the barrier was destroyed by an immortal venerable's palm. Kill! Heavenly Court's army had been waiting for a long time. But Jiang Chongkong met Yang Mo. The current Yang Mo was no longer as ethereal as before. The judicial immortal aura on his body was about to dissipate. The heavenly Tao wasn't blind. It celebrated the return of the ancient bloodline. But the heavenly Tao couldn't tolerate the return of evil demons. Yang Yushu, no one can save you today. Yang Mo's expression was ferocious and murderous. He was certain that Jiang Chongkong was a traitor. And a traitor must be eliminated. Battle in the primal chaos. Jiang Chongkong tore the void and entered the primal chaos. In a battle between immortal venerables, every move had supreme power and could easily destroy the world. In the gray primal chaos, tens of thousands of chaotic qi rushed over. Jiang Chongkong's aura spread and suppressed the primal chaos. Yang Mo's third eye light shone. The heavenly eye light carried the power of destruction. Jiang Chongkong's heavenly eye radiated divine light, but it didn't have the power of the netherworld. He suppressed the power of the heavenly eye and secretly activated the primal chaos golden body. Boom! The two heavenly eye lights dissipated at the same time, stirring up chaotic turbulence. The three-pointed, double-edged saber tore the turbulence apart. The might of an immortal venerable was supreme. Jiang Chongkong sneered and struck out with a palm strike filled with boundless divine light. Clang! The weapons clashed and divine power spread. Both sides were pushed back. Gray chaotic blood splattered. His essence, qi, and spirit were all added to the Golden Crow immortal scripture. He stepped into the middle stage of immortal venerable. Not bad, but not enough. Yang Mo's saber slashed down with the power to destroy the world. You're not enough. Jiang Chongkong snorted and raised his palm again. His aura rose rapidly and reached the peak of the early stage, immortal venerable. Boom! With boundless divine power, the two of them manifested their 10,000 Zhang bodies at the same time. Stepping into the immortal venerable realm, Jiang Chongkong didn't need to fear the intermediate immortal venerable Yang Mo even if he didn't use the samsara disc. When his Golden Crow immortal scripture stepped into the intermediate immortal venerable realm, he would be able to easily suppress this person. The divine power in his body increased rapidly, transforming into chaos divine power. The three-pointed, double-edged saber, the saber radiance could split the heavens and earth, and it could cut through the primal chaos. A grade 8 immortal artifact slashed down with thousands of saber lights. Jiang Chongkong's divine power was like the Milky Way, pouring down to protect him. All the saber lights that got close to him were unable to break through the descending divine power and turned into ashes. Your strength has actually become stronger? Yang Mo's expression turned cold. He could still cut through Jiang Chongkong's palm at the start. But now, his blade energy was unable to break through his divine power and injured Jiang Chongkong. I've said it before, you're not enough. Jiang Chongkong's right palm landed on the saber, forcing Yang Mo to take 3 steps back. His 10,000-foot body staggered in the chaos and was already at a disadvantage. As for Jiang Chongkong, his aura was getting stronger and stronger, already at the peak of the early immortal venerable realm. Yang Mo's expression changed, and there was already a hint of retreat in his heart. This didn't seem like someone who had just broken through to the early immortal venerable realm. This fella's strength was above him. Jiang Chongkong's strength rose again, and the heavenly Tao fragment was still supporting him. The Golden Crow immortal scripture's transformation speed was much faster than his mystic art and Tao body. From the looks of it, he only needed half a day to complete the transformation and suppress Yang Mo. Seeing that Jiang Chongkong was already at the peak of the early immortal venerable realm, and his aura still hadn't stopped, Yang Mo was a little afraid. Previously, he wasn't at the peak of the early immortal venerable realm and was only slightly weaker than him, let alone now. Actually, Yang Mo was just scaring himself. Although the Golden Crow immortal scripture was a high-grade immortal scripture, it wasn't as terrifying as the mystic art and Tao body. It wouldn't increase his strength by much, unless he broke through to the next realm. Buzz. A special aura shook, and Yang Mo's expression changed. Sage artifact. Boom. As soon as he said that, Jiang Chongkong's fist landed on his body. divine power entered his body, and with the suppression of the sage artifact, Yang Mo was heavily injured. The sage artifact appeared, and Yang Mo was shocked. He finally knew who the person in front of him was. However, he couldn't bring it out. The sage artifact stabilized the chaos and suppressed him. Under such circumstances, Yang Mo could only be defeated. Jiang Changkong's fists and palms landed continuously, and the three-pointed, double-edged saber was also shaking and cracks appeared. Even a grade 8 immortal artifact couldn't withstand his attacks. Yang Mo was shocked and furious. He activated his bloodline power, and a tall divine image appeared behind him, and his aura actually increased. "You are simply insulting your ancestors." Jiang Changkong's palm landed, and the three-pointed, double-edged saber buzzed, and his huge body flew out. Facing Jiang Changkong and the reincarnation disc, unless he also had a sage artifact, he could forget about resisting Jiang Changkong. Yang Mo's gaze was fierce, and his hair was disheveled. There was also a crack on his immortal body. "Jiang Changkong, you are not qualified to kill me." As soon as he finished speaking, golden light erupted from Yang Mo's body. Yang Mo's aura was also increasing, and the reincarnation disk's suppression suddenly dissipated. Jiang Changkong's eyes narrowed. Yang Mo's aura was almost at the peak of a mid-stage immortal venerable. However, he didn't care. Under the reincarnation disk's activation, it was enough to suppress and kill him. However, the battlefield might change now. "Am I qualified?" A cold voice was heard, and a jade-like hand grabbed Yang Mo's neck. She wore a white dress, and her face was covered by a veil. Only a pair of cold eyes could be seen. Moon goddess." Yang Mo was terrified. The moon goddess was clearly just a remnant soul, so how could she easily suppress a mid-stage immortal venerable like him? Even if her main body was a half-sage, it was impossible for a divine soul to have such strength. Under his horrified gaze, the cold ice sealed Yang Mo. Jiang Changkong retracted his aura, and the transformation continued. The moon goddess tossed the interspatial ring to Jiang Changkong. "Thank you, moon goddess." Jiang Changkong cupped his hands. Moon goddess's strength is really unexpected. He used to think that a divine soul could be at the peak of an immortal emperor. When they met again, he thought that it was an immortal venerable. Now, it seemed that it was at least a late-stage immortal venerable, or even more terrifying. The ice dissipated, and Yang Mo also dissipated. A mid-stage immortal venerable didn't even resist. He disappeared just like that. The moon goddess said coldly, "It's all thanks to the stately painting. It contains the main body's power that Huda brought back." "Where is the moon goddess's main body now? How strong is it?" Jiang Changkong asked quickly. "I don't know." The moon goddess shook her head. "Now I will search in the chaos. You stay in the heavenly realm and cultivate." "Moon goddess, are you leaving just like that? Your strength shouldn't be weaker than a celestial emperor, right?" Jiang Changkong probed. "I am only the moon goddess, and I hope that you can remember that you are only the heavenly god of justice. You only see the good side, and some of the responsibilities you might not be willing to bear." The moon goddess walked into the chaos, and her figure gradually disappeared. "Responsibilities? I never said that I would always bear the responsibility." Jiang Changkong smiled faintly and took out the interspatial ring. "My thoughts are somewhat different from yours." Then, he stepped into the heavenly realm and came to the battlefield. The immortals were still fighting crazily, and one by one, the immortals disappeared without a trace. Jiang Changkong opened the heavenly book of justice inside his body, and made hand seals to summon thousands of lightning bolts. This was the lightning technique taught by Lu Qian. It was pretty good, and it could also hide one's identity. Yang Mo didn't return, and Heavenly Court already knew the result. Chapter 770. Jiang Changkong looked at the heavenly book. It only struck the guilty ones. Because of Heavenly Court's messing around, many demons had been raised. Yang Mo is dead. Surrender and you may be spared. Jiang Changkong's voice was like thunder, resounding in the sky. Kill, for Heavenly Emperor's cause, never surrender. A loud shout rang out as an immortal emperor's sword light killed an immortal king. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck, killing the immortal emperor. You are all innocent. Heavenly Court's heavenly emperor went against the heavenly Tao and killed himself. If you don't surrender, you won't be able to live. Jiang Changkong persuaded again. Kill, don't listen to him. Heavenly Court will win, it's just Yang Mo. The immortals were still fighting. An immortal venerable's death wasn't enough to make them surrender. Courting death. Jiang Changkong's expression was cold. He didn't have the patience to persuade these immortals. With Yang Mo dead, if Heavenly Court didn't send a new immortal venerable, they would lose for sure. With the transformation over, Jiang Changkong looked at his stats. Jiang Changkong. Intermediate Immortal Venerable 8 Refinement Mystical Art. Beginner, 1/2. 5 million Innate Chaotic Tao Body. Beginner, 1/2. 5 million Golden Crow Immortal Scripture. Beginner, 1/1562500 Essence, Energy, Spirit. 788280 Heaven's power was still increasing. Jiang Changkong only converted a bit, still 10-1. He wasn't in a hurry to convert everything. Yang Mo's resources were lacking. 8th grade middle grade immortal stones. 30 low grade 73. Essence, energy, spirit. 13300. He couldn't count on resources anymore, so he had to count on Heaven's power. Heaven's power was the main source. On the other side, Monster Emperor was also searching for the guilty immortals with the Heavenly Book of Justice. Even if Monster Emperor and the others were raising demons, they needed a pair of eyes that could find them. With the Heavenly Book of Justice, Jiang Changkong and Monster Emperor could accurately find out who was guilty. Rays of sun fire burned the guilty immortals. As for the immortal venerable, he was brought to the chaos by Flower and Fruit Mountain Immortal Venerable. The strength of a demon sovereign was enough to sweep the entire battlefield. The power of heaven quickly increased, and the demon emperor instructed Sun Wuxuan to kill the sinful immortal gods and obtain the power of heaven. Sun Wuxuan had been stuck at the peak of the immortal emperor realm for many years. He needed some enlightenment to become an immortal sovereign. However, Sun Wuxuan had stored away the power of heaven, not using it. Immortal Emperor Wu Xian, what are you doing? The demon emperor was confused. Sun Wuxuan said, I don't want to rely on the power of heaven. If I can reach mixed essence, I will follow in heaven's equal's footsteps and leave the heaven realm. The demon sovereign didn't say anything else. The power of heaven was great, and he couldn't wait to have more of it. It was the same for the 4 celestial emperors. If they wanted to prove their Tao on their own and become a primordial chaos saint, it was not something that ordinary people could do. If he didn't have the ability to level up, he had no confidence at all. The war continued. The demon emperor slaughtered the celestial emperors and collected their resources. Divine flames burned the sinful celestial gods. Unfortunately, there were not many immortal emperors, and only a few immortal gods had sinned. As time passed, thousands of immortals perished every second. The celestial court's army was forced to retreat. On the heavenly court side, they did not send any stronger immortal venerables, nor did they send any reinforcements. Only at night did the war stop. Jiang Changkong calculated the power of heaven he had obtained. All added up, he had more than 5 million power of heaven and 500,000 essence, chi, and spirit. The demon sovereign's income was about the same. All the celestial venerables added up was enough for his Golden Crow Immortal Sutra to reach the late stage. Jiang Changkong told his subordinates to set up camp. He pardoned Tianshi to report to the celestial emperor. He merged with heaven and earth and went to see the demon sovereign. After obtaining the power of heaven, Jiang Changkong's power of heaven was almost 2 million. He entered the chaos and began to improve, reaching the late stage of celestial venerable. In the chaos, the laws of the golden crow evolved, reaching the late stage of celestial venerable. Jiang Chongkong felt that he was likely to be the biggest winner in dealing with the heavenly court this time. If he could improve the laws of the golden crow to perfection, the limit of celestial venerable, then he wouldn't even need to fear the 4 celestial emperors. At that time, he would have the strength and energy to play with these celestial emperors. With the support of the laws of the heavenly Tao, the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra only evolved at dawn. In one night, the war in the heaven realm stopped. Jiang Chongkong. Late stage celestial venerable 8th revolution mystic art. Basic, 1/2. 5 million Khanate chaotic Tao body. Basic, 1/2. 5 million Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. Deshang, 1/7. 812, 500 Essence, Energy, Spirit. 240640. Feeling the power in his body, Jiang Chongkong left a clone to find the demon sovereign while he absorbed the chaotic energy to recover his divine power. He kept stuffing immortal pills into his mouth, and his divine power recovered quickly. The power of a late-stage celestial venerable entered his body, but the demon sovereign didn't show it. He was only one step away from reaching the peak of celestial venerable. The sky had just brightened and thousands of immortals appeared on the heavenly court's side again. The war started again. The armies of the 3 courts won yesterday and collected many spoils of war. Today their morale increased greatly. Boom. However, as soon as they fought, an immortal king felt that something was wrong. The heavenly court immortal in front of him was much stronger than yesterday. Upon contact, the violent power directly forced the immortal king back, and his blood splattered on Chongkong. Kill! An immortal emperor shouted angrily, and a sword light swept thousands of miles. Even the divine power of Mount Buzhou could not suppress his violent divine power. At this moment, the heavenly court's army showed their sharp fangs. Boom! A majestic power shook the world, tearing the void and cracking the earth. Early-stage Celestial Emperor was almost comparable to a mid-stage Celestial Emperor. The limit of a Celestial Emperor was far beyond the limit. Sun Wuxuan smashed down with his cudgel, and it was on par with a limit Celestial Emperor. And the other side did not have a sage artifact at all. How could this be? Sun Wuxuan's expression changed, and he quickly retreated. Rumble! Wherever the heavenly court's immortal gods passed, everything was destroyed. No one could block one round. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, come back. The demon sovereign's voice came from the palanquin, and a divine fire instantly burned a limit celestial emperor to ashes. The power of heaven entered his body, a mutated celestial emperor. Demon sovereign, Sun Wuxuan said in surprise. His demon sovereign was also abnormal. The demon sovereign said indifferently, they all mutated. They should have borrowed the power of the chaos beast. Demon sovereign really has good eyesight. A cold voice came, and an immortal venerable appeared not far from the palanquin. Immortal Guang Fa also mutated? The demon sovereign's voice came, and the palanquin opened. Immortal Guang Fa sneered, the demon sovereign is really unfathomable. You are actually an immortal venerable, even the demon emperor didn't expect this, right? This is all thanks to you. If it wasn't for your heinous sins, how could I become an immortal venerable? The demon sovereign stepped out of the palanquin, and the surrounding void couldn't bear it and slowly cracked. Battle in the chaos. Good, today let me see how strong the demon sovereign is. Immortal Guang Fa smiled proudly, and directly stepped into the chaos. Demon sovereign. Sun Wuxuan was a little worried. Take them and retreat and wait for my victorious return. The demon sovereign instructed and then stepped into the chaos. In the chaos, immortal Guang Fa's aura rose, and it was already at the peak of the middle stage, and it was still rising. The demon sovereign held his hands behind his back, and looked at him indifferently, waiting for him to finally rise. Demon sovereign, you are really confident. Immortal Guang Fa snorted coldly, and 1,000 feet tall divine body appeared, at the peak of the middle stage of the immortal venerable. His celestial might was vast, and the immortal Tao was supreme. The demon sovereign's expression was indifferent, and the sun god fire in his body burned fiercely, transforming into a great sun. Great sun burning heaven, golden crow ultimate art, and the surrounding chaos energy was evaporating. Chapter 771. The chaos energy evaporated, and so did the immortal power. Guang Fa was shocked. Before his palm even got close to Monster Emperor, the terrifying sun god fire nearly turned him into nothingness. You are a late-stage immortal venerable? Guang Fa was terrified. Just how did this demon emperor cultivate? Back then, Jiang Chongkong was only a peak immortal emperor before he left Heaven Realm. Now that Jiang Chongkong had nowhere to go, the current monster emperor was even more terrifying. He was a late-stage immortal venerable. If Jiang Chongkong didn't leave, would he also be a late-stage immortal venerable? Looks like your mutation won't allow you to cross the chasm. The Beast Dominator said calmly, and a chaotic golden crow appeared. The power of the Chaos Golden Crow caused chaos. Guang Fa couldn't even escape and was suppressed. Monster Emperor carried Guang Fa and returned to the battlefield. Under the shocked gazes of the monsters, Guang Fa turned into ashes. Monster Emperor is mighty. Monster Emperor is invincible. Cries rang out. The retreating monsters' morale rose, and they turned around to counterattack. Kill! Monster Emperor activated the Chaos Bell fragment. When the bell rang, Heavenly Court's mutated army suffered countless casualties. The reward of heaven power almost made Monster Emperor unable to control himself and charge into Heavenly Court to start a massacre. On the other side, Jiang Chongkong also entered the battlefield. Immortal Court's army was forced to retreat. An immortal venerable looked at him coldly. Long time no see. The Battle of Chaos. Jiang Chongkong didn't say much and entered the chaos. The might of a late-stage immortal venerable. He was also a mutated immortal emperor and was now at the peak of late-stage immortal venerable. The late-stage immortal venerable said coldly, "Should I call you Jiang Chongkong or Yang Yushu? Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable, you can call me whatever you like." Jiang Chongkong said calmly, "Anyways, you won't be able to leave alive. You think you hid well? You think Immortal Court's Heavenly Emperor can't guess your identity?" Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable smiled coldly. "Jiang Chongkong, you want to borrow their power. They are also using you. What's the point of saying so much? You're still going to die later," Jiang Chongkong said calmly. Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable raised his head slightly. "I will give you one more chance. Join Immortal Spirit. Your position will be second only to the Heavenly Emperor. What about you guys? Below me?" Jiang Chongkong scoffed. "Us? Of course it's above Heavenly Emperors." Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable had an arrogant expression. "This heaven domain will definitely be taken down by us. You and the 3 courts will not be able to stop us." "Ridiculous!" Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly. The reincarnation disc appeared. "Since you know who I am, I won't hold back anymore. If it weren't for that piece of trash who failed to transform back then, you would have been long dead." He was at the peak of the late immortal venerable realm. His immortal aura shook the primordial chaos, as though a world-destroying fiend god had descended. Behind him, the phantom of a massive chaotic ferocious beast emerged. 6 paths of reincarnation. Jiang Chongkong activated the reincarnation plate, and 6 paths appeared at the same time, exuding supreme saintly might. The power of reincarnation was activated, and the chaos within 10,000 li was sealed. Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable's expression changed. Only now did he realize that Jiang Chongkong's strength was far from before. Late-stage Immortal Venerable. Although he had not reached his limit, with the power of the reincarnation plate, he had far surpassed him. Boom! The 6 paths of reincarnation gathered into a fist, splitting heaven and earth. The world appeared and was destroyed under the fist. Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable was shocked. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist penetrated his body and heart. The Chaos Beast Phantom behind him dissipated before it could release its power. Disbelief. Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable did not expect that he would be instantly killed by one punch after becoming a peak late-stage Immortal Venerable after being strengthened by the Chaos Beast. "You're too weak," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. He suppressed Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable and brought him back to the Heaven Domain. Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable, how did this happen? How did this guy rush from the peak Immortal Emperor to late-stage Immortal Venerable in one go? With Golden Spirit Immortal Venerable's death, Jiang Chongkong obtained another 500,000 heavens power. The horn for counterattack sounded. Xie Tianshi led a group of immortals and attacked crazily. Jiang Chongkong summoned lightning and killed a large number of these mutated immortal gods. He and the Demon Emperor's side won almost all of them, but the rest of the army was defeated and fled crazily. The team led by Kuan Yu was killed and fled. In the end, a peak Immortal Venerable of the demon race took action and the situation was resolved. But the peak Immortal Venerable did not last for long and was restrained by the peak Immortal Venerable of the Heavenly Court. Kuan Yu and the other demon race could only retreat to their lair and use the demon court's barrier to defend. A day passed. This time, the 3 courts suffered a crushing defeat. Jiang Chongkong and the Demon Emperor's victory could only be considered as making the 3 courts lose not too badly. Beams of light descended and the demon race retreated back to the demon court. The Demon Emperor's divine sedan tore through the sky and brought back countless spoils of war. Kuan Yu and the other demon race watched jealously. Why did the Demon Emperor win when they all lost? The Demon Emperor is mighty, the Demon Emperor is invincible. The Demon Emperor is mighty, invincible. Shouts could be heard and the sound waves shot into the sky. The Demon Emperor appeared and the demons quietened down. Everyone, the Heavenly Court sent out mutant immortals this time. They are all evil demons and sinners. After killing them, you can obtain the power of heaven. The Demon Emperor is right. I have obtained a lot of power of heaven, said Sun Wuxuan. I will soon become a mid-stage Immortal Emperor, said Sun Li. The demon race all showed off that they had obtained the power of heaven. Kuan Yu and the other demon race felt more and more upset. You are openly showing off. Can't you consider our feelings? It's already frustrating enough to be beaten back. It's even more frustrating to see you show off. Demon Emperor, we obtained a lot of resources from this victory. We should hand over a portion to the Heavenly Court. Kuan Yu stood up. Since he felt bad, he wanted to disgust the Demon Emperor and make him feel bad. Bang! Kuan Yu was slapped down. Sun Wuxuan said coldly, "The Demon Emperor won the battle, and the Demon Court should reward you. Why do you still have to hand it over?" "That's right. If we won, there will be no reward, and we still have to hand over resources. If we lost, there will be rewards. Then we will not go out tomorrow." The Demon Emperor's subordinates all shouted. The Demon Emperor raised his hand slightly, and the Demon Emperor stopped. With a faint smile, the Demon Emperor said, "The resources are obtained by my brothers with their own abilities. I can't snatch the resources of my brothers who worked for me. However, I killed Immortal Venerable Guang Fa today, so his resources will be given to the Demon Master." Demon Emperor, those are the resources of an Immortal Venerable. Sun Wuxuan hurriedly said. The Demon Master has sacrificed a lot for the Heavenly Court. I have offended you all along, please forgive me. The Demon Emperor casually threw the spatial ring to the Demon Master. Kuan Yu caught the ring and frowned. These are the resources to be handed over to the Demon Court's treasury. I am not taking them for myself. The Demon Emperor smiled faintly and didn't say anything. He had already given the resources to the Demon Emperor Palace. As for how Kuan Yu would deal with it, he couldn't be bothered. Sun Wuxuan was still a bit upset, but since the Demon Emperor had already given it, he couldn't say anything. The Demon Emperor ordered, "Go and rest. There might be a fierce battle tomorrow." After a day of fighting, the demon race had expended a lot of energy, and many of them were injured. The Demon Emperor wasn't stingy and gave them many pills to heal. Some immortal stones that he didn't need were also given to them, and some immortal emperors were also given. Chapter 772. On the immortal court side, the Celestial Larch also gave him a few words of encouragement and gave him a mid-tier 8th grade immortal artifact as a reward. Jiang Chongkong returned to the Immortal Palace and listened to Ji Tianxi's report about the other immortals' crushing defeat. None of the immortals had escaped. The 3 courts had suffered heavy losses. The Heavenly Court had already used the Chaos Beasts in the army of immortals. Their strength far surpassed theirs. The Heavenly Court had become a chaotic demonic realm filled with sin. The Monster Emperor also saw the Monster Emperor. "Brother, it is all thanks to you that the monster race did not suffer heavy losses," the Monster Emperor said solemnly. "Brother, as the Monster Emperor, this is my responsibility," the Monster Emperor said calmly without claiming credit. The Monster Emperor smiled. "I am deeply gratified that you have such intentions. I have decided that after we take down the Heavenly Court, I will betroth the Heavenly Court's princess to you." "Brother, you must be joking. The Heavenly Court's princess might have become a sin now," the Monster Emperor said indifferently. "Brother, you do not know. The current Moon God is the Heavenly Court's princess." The Monster Emperor smiled. "The Celestial Larch will not turn the Moon God into a demon. The new Moon God is the Heavenly Court's princess?" The Monster Emperor paused and looked toward the Moon Palace. The Monster Emperor said, "Brother, you really do not pay attention to such things. I have seen the Moon God. She is not bad-looking and is a good match for you." "Brother, you must be joking. I only have the monster race and the great Tao in my heart," the Monster Emperor said seriously. The Monster Emperor smiled without saying anything. The Monster Emperor stood up and returned to the Monster Emperor Palace. A wisp of divine power flew out and floated to the moon star. 2 fairies sat outside the Moon Palace under the cold moonlight, looking in the direction of the Heavenly Court. Jiang Chongkong did not hide his arrival. "Jiang Chongkong." The 2 fairies stood up at the same time with a hint of surprise and sadness. Jiang Chongkong opened his mouth and said in a low voice, "I am here. It is up to you. Sit." The 2 fairies invited him to sit. Zilan entered the Moon Palace and took out some immortal fruits and a jar of immortal wine. "Try it. This is the lunar brew I brewed for the Moon God sect." Yushua poured him a cup. Jiang Chongkong took a sip. It was lonely and cold. It wasn't strong and was very mild. It couldn't compare to the Demon Thearka's collection. "Moon God said that my brew is not up to standard. After a few thousand years, or even tens of thousands of years, I will be able to brew a qualified moon brew," Fairy Yushua said. Jiang Chongkong looked at the wine cup. "The real Tai-In brew, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, can indeed pass. 4,000 of years, tens of thousands of years, a single person guarding the extreme In could brew a qualified extreme In wine. At that time, the aura of loneliness, coldness, and coldness would be deeply felt." Fairy Yushua squeezed out a smile. "Are you all right? It's good to see you alive." "I'm fine. I'll be back from the primal chaos soon," Jiang Chongkong replied. "You came back a long time ago, right?" Yushua poured another cup. "You should have come back when the Heavenly Court was in trouble." "I don't understand. Why did the Celestial Emperor raise a daughter like you?" Jiang Chongkong looked up at her and said seriously, "You are not suitable for the Heavenly Court. None of us are suitable. Only you are." Zilan said coldly, "The outcome has not been decided yet. Perhaps the Heavenly Court will win in the end." Jiang Chongkong said softly, Zelan, I came here today just to see a friend, not to ridicule you. Fairy Yushua fell silent. Fairy Yushua picked up a spirit fruit. Have a taste. Since we are friends, don't say too many things that will harm our friendship. We are already very happy that you came to see us. Fairy Yushua bit the fruit and couldn't stop her tears. Jiang Chongkong, can you save my father's life? Be confident. Perhaps the heavenly court really will win, Jiang Chongkong said. The heavenly court can't win. The heavenly court still has power. Fairy Yushua said solemnly. The heavenly court still has power. Jiang Chongkong was startled. What do you mean? Moon God didn't let me tell you before she left. Yushua sighed. I don't want to hide it from you. The mountain river map contains a portion of Moon God's power and some news. I've seen Moon God. She obtained that power and is very strong, Jiang Chongkong said as he took a bite of the fruit. Fairy Yushua's expression turned cold. The power of the heavenly court never appeared. I asked Moon God when it would appear. Moon God didn't answer me and didn't tell me what power it was. She only said that she can't tell you. Can't tell me? Why? Jiang Chongkong frowned. I'm not sure. Moon God didn't explain. She mentioned this to Zhen Xian, Celestial Venerable. She also said that she can't tell you, Fairy Yushua said. Jiang Chongkong frowned. There was a hidden power. Why couldn't she tell him? Was there something special about him that would affect this power? Or could it be that Moon God didn't trust him and was worried that he would destroy it? Moonlight appeared on Fairy Yushua's fingertips. I've heard about your matters in the mortal world. You have some friends, so I didn't tell them. I'm telling you so much because I hope you can save Heavenly King Ziwei. Jiang Chongkong sighed. Maybe it's better not to save him. Heavenly King Ziwei was still daydreaming. If he found out that Ziwei was in his daughter's body, would he be able to accept it? The two fairies were silent. Jiang Chongkong said, Why don't you mention the Celestial Dharch? You can't save him. The three courts won't let him go. The heavenly Tao won't let him go either, Fairy Yushua said coldly. She knew very well that she could save anyone but the Celestial Dharch. The other three Celestial Thearchs wouldn't let Heavenly Court's Celestial Dharch live. The Heavenly Tao wouldn't allow him to live either. This was unsolvable unless Heavenly Court's Celestial Dharch escaped to the Chaos and killed the Chaos Beast. However, no one knew how much it would take to pay for this sin. The Heavenly Tao would probably think that it was better to kill him. After drinking the moon brew, Jiang Chongkong felt like he was drinking moonlight. He stood up and said calmly, I want to be the Celestial Dharch. The two were stunned. They looked up and said in disbelief, You are the heavenly god of justice. How can you covet the position of the Celestial Dharch? Because I want to build an eternal paradise, the holy land that heavenly god Hao Tian failed to complete. For my friends. Jiang Chongkong's gaze seemed to penetrate the heavenly world, the celestial world, and the mortal world. I have experienced too many hardships along the way. You have also seen many ugliness. I want to build the divine court's holy land, even if I have to create a new world in the future. My friends can be carefree and cultivate wholeheartedly. They don't have to experience hardships, and they won't have to face the danger of being refined into immortal pills. Is an eternal paradise possible? The two fairies murmured. It's not possible, it's certain. In the future, I will definitely build it, and it won't take long, Jiang Chongkong said solemnly. If that day comes, please remember to invite us to take a look. The two fairies looked slightly sad. Jiang Chongkong said calmly, When that time comes, you can live in it and become a part of the Holy Land until you reach primordial chaos. No one can restrain you. Yushua didn't say anything. Fairy Violet Orchid was silent. The moon god had to guard the moon star forever. This was her duty. Fairy Violet Orchid had already decided to accompany the moon god forever. They would stay on the moon star for eternity until the heavenly Tao collapsed and the moon was destroyed. Chapter 773. On the moon star, Jiang Chongkong's incarnation dissipated. The demon sovereign pondered over the demon Thearka's words. Fairy Yushua, the combination of extreme yin and extreme yang? Did the demon emperor really have this intention, or did he really know his identity? If the other party didn't know his identity, shouldn't the combination of extreme yin and extreme yang be him, the demon Tharch? Fairy Yushua was a moon god and a princess of the heavenly court. She was definitely worthy of the demon Tharch. Then what was the hidden power of the heaven realm that Yushua mentioned? Why didn't the previous moon god inform him? Zhen Xian the Celestial, it seems like they can't hide anymore. The demonic beast sovereign sighed. Zhen Xian and Peng Lai were really determined not to interfere in the affairs of the heaven realm. After the war started, the two sects did not participate in it. For the time being, the immortal slaying sect didn't make any move. It seemed like they weren't interested in who the sole celestial emperor was. He sensed that the mountain river map was still in the heaven realm. Back then, when the immortal slaying sect finished using it, they handed it over to the heavenly court. If they knew the identity of the main body, it would be troublesome. He hoped that he could reach the limits of an immortal emperor and challenge them. Sighing deeply, Zhang Xian decided not to think too much about it. The next day, the war started again. The mutant army hadn't been beaten back yet. It was only because the three courts had strengthened the barrier that they were able to stop their attack. After a night's rest, the demons of the demon court had almost recovered. The war continued. Jiang Chongkong and the demon emperor continued to crush the immortals and gods of the heavenly courts. The armies of the other three courts were defeated once again. Facing the mutant army, the difference between them was too great. The primal chaos bell suppressed the void and suppressed the mutant army. The demon emperor entered the primal chaos and killed the immortal venerables. He also used the fragment of the Pangu banner. The yin-yang dual chi bottle was a top-notch grade 8 immortal artifact that refined mutated immortal divinities. As his heaven's power increased, Jiang Chongkong's mind, energy, and spirit also increased rapidly. The celestial emperors of the three halls watched the battlefield quietly. They were still waiting. As long as the mutant army was annihilated, they would be rewarded with heavenly energy. They were the true rulers of the three courts, the ones who had obtained the most power of heaven. Even Jiang Chongkong, who had the arcane tome of justice, was far inferior to them. Day after day passed, and the mutant army became stronger and stronger. The forces of the three courts suffered heavy losses. Thousands of monsters died because of this. Jiang Chongkong looked at the ground littered with corpses being dragged away by the mutant army. He saw countless immortal gods die in front of him. He could not help. He could only ensure that there would not be too many casualties among the immortal spirits he brought with him. Xie Tianshi silently watched the battle with a solemn expression. There were no traps in the battles of the heaven realm, only clashes of strength. In the face of absolute power, all schemes and plots were useless. Even if he could instigate an immortal emperor to rebel, he wouldn't be able to change the situation of the battle unless he could instigate an immortal venerable. As long as the immortal sovereign was still around, it would not be considered a failure. Even if all the immortals and gods died, it did not mean that they had won the war. Immortal blood converged into a river, turning into a sea. Celestial Tharch, are you still not going to make a move? Jiang Chongkong looked up at the sky. The celestial Tharch still hadn't moved. Xie Tianshi said gloomily, "That person from the heavenly court hasn't appeared yet." Jiang Chongkong's expression was cold. He didn't say anything. They were still waiting. Waiting for more mutants to collect more power of heaven. Jiang Chongkong didn't want to wait. Although it was satisfying to collect the power of heaven, it was not as satisfying as killing the primal chaos beast. He looked at the essence, energy, and spirit he had collected over the past few days. There were already 2 million. Including the monster emperors, it was 4 million. Looking at the army of mutant immortals in front of him, Killing them would be enough for him to raise his mystic art and Tao body to the initial success stage. Attack the southern heaven gate. With a command, Jiang Chongkong didn't wait anymore. There were still countless primal chaos beasts in the primal chaos. The heaven realm still had hidden forces. There was no need to rely on the 3 celestial thearchs to defend against the primal chaos beasts. If he attacked the southern heaven gate, even if he couldn't reach the limit of an immortal venerable, he could still reach the peak. Together with the reincarnation plate, he wouldn't be afraid of celestial thearchs who were at the limit of an immortal venerable. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts bombarded the mutant army. Xie Tianchu's expression changed slightly. He quickly said, "Justice Celestial Venerable, the Celestial Darch didn't tell us to attack the southern heaven gate. If we don't attack the southern heaven gate, then attack the other heavenly gates," Jiang Chongkong said coldly. "Celestial Venerable, that's not what I meant," Xie Tianchu panicked. The Celestial Darch of the Immortal Court didn't want to end the war yet. They wanted more power of heaven. They wanted the Heavenly Court to fight with their lives on the line. However, they couldn't say that out loud. There were immortals dying at any moment. Letting their subordinates die so that they could reap the benefits? What would their subordinates think then? Against the evil demons, we should kill them all and take down the Heavenly Court as soon as possible to prove that the Celestial Darch is the true master of the Heaven Realm. Jiang Chongkong shouted coldly and raised his palm, "Brothers of the Immortal Court, it's time to take down the Southern Heaven Gate. Take down the Southern Heaven Gate, take down the Southern Heaven Gate." The immortals cheered excitedly. Taking down the Southern Heaven Gate would be a great achievement. "Justice Celestial Venerable, you can't do that without the orders of the Celestial Darch," Xie Tianchu said solemnly. "I am the one in charge of this army." "Xie Tianchu, please understand your identity." Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly. He took a step forward and crossed 1,000 miles. Everywhere he passed, the mutated army turned to dust. These were all weak immortals. The weakest among them was only a martial immortal. Even if they mutated, they weren't that strong. They were strong at the same cultivation level, but against the late-stage celestial venerable Jiang Chongkong, they were no different from ants. On the other side, Sun Wuxuan found the Monster Emperor and chuckled. "Monster Emperor, the Immortal Court's Justice Celestial Venerable wants to take down the Southern Heaven Gate. What does Celestial Emperor Wuxuan think?" The Monster Emperor asked. "Of course we want to take down the Southern Heaven Gate. We can't let the Immortal Court take this credit," Sun Wuxuan said. The Monster Emperor smiled calmly. "Then let's take down the Southern Heaven Gate." Hong! The primal chaos golden crow tore through the sky. The bell rang and thousands of immortals were killed. The yin-yang dual energy bottle swallowed the immortals and turned them into blood. Thousands of monsters rushed forward excitedly, following the Monster Emperor and attacking the Heavenly Court. In the sky, the 3 Heavenly Emperors' expressions changed. "Immortal Court, Monster Court, control your subordinates," Celestial Court's Heavenly Emperor said coldly. "What are you panicking for? Although the Monster Emperor is not bad, he can't break the Heavenly Court's restriction barrier," Monster Emperor said indifferently. "The Monster Emperor can ignore it, and you can use it to weaken the Monster Court's power, but what about Jiang Chongkong?" Celestial Court's Heavenly Emperor said coldly. "When he returns as Yang Yushu, we can turn a blind eye and use each other. But he is not following the rules." This was a serious violation of the rules. If he really attacked the Heavenly Court would fight back with all their might, and they would lose a lot of Heaven's power. "I will look after him personally. When necessary, I will eliminate him," Celestial Court's Heavenly Emperor said coldly. The Monster Emperor calmed down and said calmly, "What's the rush? Even with the reincarnation disc, he can't take down the Southern Heaven Gate. I hope it's as you say. This Jiang Chongkong is really a troublemaker. He can't be left alive," Celestial Court's Heavenly Emperor said coldly. "Don't be impulsive. Jiang Chongkong has the means left behind by Ho Tuesday. If you touch him, you will be injured, Monster Emperor said indifferently. Did Celestial Sovereign Zhen Xian say that? The two heavenly emperors frowned. You have been protecting Jiang Chongkong, don't think we don't know. Chapter 774. He had been protecting Jiang Chongkong all along? The Beast Emperor smiled. Jiang Chongkong's growth is indeed fast, but he is not the heavenly emperor chosen by the heavenly Tao. He is just the heavenly god of justice. What if he proves his Tao before us? The celestial court's heavenly emperor narrowed his eyes. I have confidence, but you don't? The Beast Emperor looked at the heavenly world. Of course, we cannot let him fight his way to the southern heavenly gate. If he can open it, we will stop him. If not, he can only retreat. I will trust you once more. The two heavenly emperors harumphed and looked at Jiang Chongkong. Although they did not know why the Beast Emperor protected Jiang Chongkong, they could not kill Jiang Chongkong now. With Ho Tu's means, they could not kill Jiang Chongkong. If Jiang Chongkong did not die and recovered, they would have a headache. Jiang Chongkong came to the barrier. The golden barrier blocked his way. The chaotic saber ray landed on the barrier, but it only caused ripples and did not break. The golden barrier was the heavenly court's defensive restriction. Only immortal venerables could break it. The heavenly court's immortals gathered their immortal power and slashed. Boom! The immortal power landed, but the golden barrier remained. Boundless immortal power surged in all directions, destroying the ground and tearing the void. Immortal venerate of justice, let's go back, Xie Tianshi advised. Only immortal venerables can break this golden barrier. Jiang Chongkong's expression was gloomy. He estimated his own strength. Even if he had the reincarnation disc, he would not be able to break it. Rumble! In the distance, demonic aura surged. The chaotic golden crow crashed into the golden barrier and dissipated like smoke. The Beast Emperor wore a golden crow robe and had a cold expression. He could not break this barrier, not even the divine artifact shard and the yin-yang dual chi bottle. Beast Emperor, Jiang Chongkong looked over. Immortal venerate of justice, Yang Yushu. The Beast Emperor smiled and came to the main body. How about we work together? There's no need. This barrier is hard to break. Even if we join hands, it won't work. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. Then is immortal venerate of justice going to give up? The Beast Emperor said calmly. Give up? How is that possible? Even if I have to wait here, I won't give up. Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly as he accepted the heavenly energy from the Spirit Demon Emperor. In total, the two of them had close to 6 million points of essence, energy, and spirit. He was considering whether he should improve the Golden Crow immortal scripture or his mystic arts and Taoist physique first. Another 2 million, and the Golden Crow immortal scripture would reach perfection. Why don't we work together and guard this place? Once the heavenly court changes and the immortal gods appear, we'll kill them immediately? The Demon Emperor suggested. Sure. Jiang Chongkong agreed. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the mutant army arrived. They came from other battlefields. They had defeated the armies of the three courts, and were here to kill Jiang Chongkong and the Spirit Demon Emperor. Kill! The Spirit Demon Emperor shouted coldly, and the sounds of killing rose again. Boom! An immortal paragon's attack landed. Both sides were sent into the primal chaos. Their subordinates, the immortal gods, were in a difficult situation. They were not a match for the mutant army. The Demon Emperor left behind the yin-yang twin chi bottle to guard the demon race army. Jiang Chongkong also left behind a streak of god power to protect them. Jiang Chongkong and the Demon Emperor's opponents were both late-stage immortal venerables, so they were not difficult to deal with. However, an unforeseen event had occurred below. A streak of light flew over from the sky and landed on the god power left behind by Jiang Chongkong. Boom! The god power incarnation collapsed. The power of the light exceeded that of a late-stage immortal venerable. It was from a peak immortal venerable. After losing Jiang Changkong's god power, they lost their protection. The Celestial Court army suffered heavy losses. On the monster race's side, the yin-yang twin chi bottle was also sent flying by a streak of light. Sun Wuxuan was heavily injured, and his blood splattered. On the monster race's side, a large number of immortal gods died in the group led by Jiang Changkong. In the primal chaos, Jiang Changkong and the Demon Emperor sensed it and stopped hiding. The reincarnation plate suppressed the late-stage immortal venerable and brought them back to the heaven realm. The Demon Emperor was still fighting with a late-stage immortal venerable. Without a complete sage artifact, it was difficult for him to defeat a late-stage immortal venerable. After returning to the heaven realm, Jiang Changkong's gaze was cold. Lightning descended as if the heavens were angry. Celestial Venerable, let's retreat. Xie Tianshi was covered in blood and he panicked. The other immortal gods of the heavenly court have come to reinforce us. Jiang Changkong's expression was dark. He left behind 4 streaks of chaos god power to help the celestial court and monster race. They entered the primal chaos to find the Demon Emperor. The reincarnation plate stabilized the primal chaos and activated its supreme power. The late-stage immortal venerable's body trembled. The Demon Emperor and Jiang Changkong attacked at the same time and suppressed the late-stage immortal venerable. The 4 streaks of chaos god power clashed with the immortal light in the sky. This time, the immortal light was even fiercer. Not only did it destroy the god power, but it also destroyed many immortal gods. Jiang Changkong remembered this aura. He tore apart the primal chaos and returned to the heaven realm. Wherever the god power passed, the mutant army was destroyed. Retreat! Jiang Changkong and the Demon Emperor shouted at the same time. They had no choice but to retreat. Not only were the 3 courts unwilling to attack the heavenly court, they even allowed his god power to be destroyed. Or rather, they personally destroyed it. If it was the peak or late-stage immortal venerable of the heavenly court, why didn't anyone stop them? At the start, they only destroyed his god power and didn't kill him. Next, not only did they destroy his god power, but they also killed many immortal gods. If it was the celestial venerable of the heavenly court, he should have appeared and killed them all. They retreated with the immortal god army and didn't encounter any more immortal light. Jiang Changkong looked at Xie Tianshi with a cold gaze. Did you inform the celestial Dharch? Why didn't he send reinforcements? Entering alone, the celestial venerable should think of a way to explain to the celestial Dharch. Xie Tianshi said coldly. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly and left with them. After returning to the celestial court's barrier, the celestial court celestial Dharch summoned them. Jiang Changkong came to the numinous sky palace and cupped his hands. Greetings, celestial Dharch. Yang Yushu, do you know your mistake? The celestial court celestial Dharch looked at him coldly. I don't know. Jiang Changkong's expression was calm. The celestial Thearcha's eyes shone with cold light. Entering alone, causing the death of the immortal gods and heavy casualties. You have committed a great crime. The celestial Dharch is paying attention to the battlefield. I have already cleared the path ahead. With a single palm from the celestial venerable, I will be able to enter the heavenly court and ascend the southern heavenly gate. After that, the heavenly court sent reinforcements, but the immortal gods did not come. When I suppressed the immortal venerables of the heavenly court, they ambushed my subordinates, but no one stopped them. Jiang Changkong's expression was cold. He raised his head and looked at the celestial Dharch. Your Majesty, you were overseeing the rear. Did you not see that immortal light? I was discussing with the 2 celestial Thearchs. The other immortal venerables had their own opponents and could not leave. The celestial court celestial Dharch said coldly, You only want to attack the southern heavenly gate. Have you considered the overall situation of the battlefield? Jiang Changkong's expression sank slightly. He did not say anything. From now on, you will be overseeing the army. Pass the command to Xietianshi. The celestial court Celestial Dharch said calmly. Jiang Changkong said calmly, Celestial Dharch, since you don't trust me, why don't you just let me leave? Yang Yushu, don't forget who saved you. You also promised me that you will help me unify the heavenly world. The celestial court Celestial Dharch said coldly, now that you have committed a mistake, I can't punish you. Jiang Changkong frowned and cupped his fist. I misspoke. Please forgive me, Celestial Dharch. From now on, Yang Yushu will focus on overseeing the army. Go. I am not reducing your authority. I am training you. When you have thought it through, I will return the authority to you. The Celestial Court Celestial Dharch said. Chapter 775. Within the demon sovereign palace, the extreme Een brew was suffused with moonlight. Second brother, you were too impulsive this time. The demon emperor drank a cup of wine and said. The demon sovereign asked, Big brother, do you know who emitted the immortal light? I don't know. At that time, I was discussing with the two celestial rulers and didn't notice. The demon emperor said in a deep voice, If I know, I will not spare him. Big brother, you really don't know? That immortal light has appeared more than once. The demon emperor asked again. The monster emperor shook his head and insisted, I really don't know. That immortal light flew over from the primal chaos. When I reacted and wanted to investigate, I couldn't find anything in the boundless primal chaos. The demon emperor was silent for a moment before he said, I was indeed too impulsive this time. Second brother, rest well these few days. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan is also injured. Take good care of him. The demon Dharch said. I'll take my leave first. The demon emperor stood up and left. The demon Dharch tasted the wine alone, experiencing the profoundness of the extreme Een brew. Returning to the demon king's palace, Sun Wuxuan's face was pale. Fortunately, he had taken a healing pill and only needed to rest for a few days. Demon monarch, did you find out? Sun Wuxuan hastily asked. The demon emperor shook his head. The celestial light came from the primal chaos. The demon emperor said he didn't know. You don't know? Sun Wuxuan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Immortal venerables were at the peak of the heaven realm. How could they not find out the origin of the immortal light? It would still make sense if Zhang Xian hadn't noticed it for the first time. But if he still couldn't find anything the second time, then that would be nonsense. They don't want to wipe out the heavenly court and want to raise more evil demons. The demon emperor said calmly. Sun Wuxuan's expression was cold. They don't deserve to be celestial emperors. Forget it, just rest well for the next few days. The demon emperor sighed. His forceful charge had failed, and he could not change the situation. Yes, demon emperor. Sun Wuxuan went to rest. On the other side, Jiang Changkong went deep into the chaos and contacted Venerable Zhen Xian. Immortal Venerable Zhen Xian quickly replied, It's the immortal light from the immortal court. Fellow Taoist Jiang, you can't change the situation of the battle. It's better to go with it. These three heavenly emperors are no different from that one in the heavenly court. Jiang Changkong sneered. To them, as long as there is a glimmer of hope to become a sage, even if the celestial realm is wiped out, they will do anything. It's just that that person in the heavenly court was a little anxious. That's why he chose to cooperate with the immortal spirits. This is also a flaw of the heavenly Tao. Venerable Immortal Zhen Xian said. Drawbacks? With merit to the heavens, and with the return of the ancient immortal god bloodline, I can counteract the heavenly Tao's targeting. The heavenly Tao isn't complete and doesn't have the power to destroy the heavenly court. That's why that person in the heavenly court chose to do this. Venerable Zhen Xian said in a deep voice. Jiang Changkong understood. He was planning to conquer the heaven realm first, and then slowly repay the debt later. It was just that this debt was a little too big. After hanging up the call, Jiang Changkong looked at his essence, energy and spirit. After killing two more late-stage immortal reverence, He was still some distance away from becoming a peak immortal emperor. He hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he resisted the urge to raise his cultivation level and Taoist body. Once he raised the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra to its peak, he would then raise his mystic arts and Tao body. After returning to the heaven realm, Jiang Chongkong entered the temple and ignored the immortal god army. The authority had already been handed over to Xie Tianshi, and he was now content to be a hired thug. The next morning, the heavenly court's army attacked again. Xie Tianshi led the immortal army to resist the mutated army of the heavenly court. Jiang Chongkong suppressed the immortal reverence, destroyed a portion of them, and left. The demon sovereigns also retreated after destroying a portion of them. The rest of the army was also defeated. Although they could kill many mutated immortal gods, they exchanged their lives for it. Several immortal gods were needed to exchange for one mutated immortal god of the same level. Jiang Chongkong watched the battle and focused on accumulating the power of heaven, converting it into essence, energy, and spirit. On the heavenly court's side, a terrifying aura was brewing, and the mutated army seemed endless. There were no changes on Mount Buzhou, and the spirit stone mine inside was almost completely excavated. The ancestral Magus tree and demon commander stone also did not show any abnormalities. The war in the heaven realm continued. After 7 days, Jiang Chongkong's essence, energy and spirit had already reached 12 million. He was not in a hurry to raise it because it was not enough. Even if he raised it, he would not be able to resist the limits of an immortal reverend. The two immortal reverends, Zhen Xian and Peng Lai, had already retreated to the celestial realm with their disciples. They did not want to participate in this war. The corpses of the immortals piled up into mountains. Immortal blood gathered into rivers, but no one cared. These low-level immortals risked their lives to protect the forces they were in, but in exchange, their corpses did not even exist. Accustomed to life and death, Jiang Chongkong could not bear to see it. These few days, he often used his incarnation to go to the lunar star. That was the only stable place in the heaven realm. It was lonely, cold, and better than the current heaven realm. Immortal kings and immortal emperors were buried in this war, and not even their names were left behind. The mutated immortals had all turned into evil demons. On this day, there was another commotion in Mount Buzhou. The entire Mount Buzhou trembled a few times. Sun Yuan entered the demon sovereign's palace and said while panting, "Demon sovereigns, the East Sea Dragon King sent news again, asking Jiang Chongkong to make a trip there. The barrier is still there, how do we enter?" The demon sovereigns frowned. "Moreover, we can't contact Jiang Chongkong now." Sun Yuan scratched his arm. "I don't know either, the East Sea Dragon King seems to be in a hurry." "Then I will think of a way." The demon sovereigns frowned and contacted his main body. Jiang Chongkong also had a headache. How was he going to enter Mount Buzhou? The most important thing was that he couldn't leave right now. Go through the chaos again? Jiang Chongkong frowned and tore space to leave. As for the celestial arch, he would let Jie Tianshi explain it himself. Feeling the divine might of Mount Buzhou, Jiang Chongkong took out the reincarnation plate to resist the divine might and traverse the chaos. Although the Buzhou mountain was far inferior to the original Buzhou sacred mountain, Jiang Chongkong still felt that it was a demonic god that couldn't be looked up to. The divine might of the reincarnation plate was activated, and the 6 paths of reincarnation appeared. The terrifying pressure continued to increase as he got closer and closer. This was even more terrifying than the divine might left behind by Empress Hua in the chaotic heaven abyss. Crack! His bones trembled, and the green light in his body was also suppressed. It was like a chaotic demon god was constantly pressuring him. The reincarnation plate shook and released the power of netherworld samsara. The divine might resisted the divine might. Unfortunately, the divine might was still much weaker. Perhaps it was because he was not strong enough. Cracking sounds rang out, and he could vaguely see the outline of Mount Buzhou. Boom! The divine might enveloped him, and chaos currents surged. Jiang Changkong's body sank, and he nearly knelt. Only sages could not be affected by this divine might. Forget it, I'll come again next time. Jiang Changkong wanted to give up. He could not go this time. If it was not difficult, he would go and take a look himself. Most importantly, he could not pass. Even if he increased his strength, he still could not pass. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded through the chaos. A blue divine dragon traversed the chaos, not afraid of the divine might, and flew over. Jiang Changkong. I feel like you guys are kidding me. You can escape on your own, but you want me to suffer and rush here? He knew this blue dragon. It was Ao Qingyu, the 13th monarch. He was familiar with her. The blue dragon wrapped around him and rushed toward Mount Buzhou. You guys are too much. Jiang Changkong's mouth twitched. Under Ao Qingyu's lead, he could not feel the divine might and was not affected at all. Chapter 776. This time, Mount Buzhou needs you. That's why I came out to bring you in. Ao Qingyu brought him through the chaos and arrived at the peak of Mount Buzhou. A golden barrier isolated Mount Buzhou, but many chaos currents were absorbed by the golden barrier. The surrounding chaos currents actually could not move Ao Qingyu. A strange look flashed in Jiang Changkong's eyes. Ao Qingyu was actually a mid-stage immortal emperor. You've already become an immortal emperor? The dragon race's fortuitous encounter. Ao Qingyu plunged into the golden barrier. Without any obstruction, she brought Jiang Changkong into Mount Buzhou. The peak of Mount Buzhou had endless chaos divine lightning. It was so powerful that even immortal supremacies did not dare to go against it. The lightning also avoided them and did not attack. Then, there were the chaotic astral winds and the heavenly blades formed by the chaotic qi. Even a peak immortal venerable would probably die here. What's going on here? Does Mount Buzhou need me? Jiang Changkong was puzzled. Ao Qingyu smiled and said, You will know soon. One man and one dragon quickly arrived in front of a huge dragon egg. The dragon might was so strong that even he felt pressure. A layer of ripples appeared on the eggshell, and one man and one dragon entered. The inside of the dragon egg was a vast world. Many divine dragons flew in the air. Some were in human form with dragon horns on their head. These dragons all had very powerful auras. The weakest was an immortal king. Jiang Changkong even saw a few immortal supremacies. Acting Dragon King. Little Dragon King quickly ran over. Her small body was filled with majestic power. Little Dragon King, you too have improved too quickly. Jiang Changkong carried Little Dragon King. Early stage immortal emperor. He had worked so hard to become an immortal supremacy, but these two had directly become immortal emperors. Compared to the acting Dragon King, we are still far from it. Little Dragon King smiled. Jiang Changkong put her down and asked, Tell me what's going on. Let old dragon speak. An old man walked over. His red beard extended to his chest, and a pair of dragon horns suffused with traces of fire. His dragon might was restrained, but it still made Jiang Changkong feel powerful. This old dragon's strength was at least at the peak of immortal supremacy. Jiang Changkong cupped his hands and said, Greetings, senior. Back then, the saints moved the descendants of the dragon race to Mount Buzhou. They used the power of chaos, connate spirit qi, and the divine might of Mount Buzhou to help the dragon race grow. After so many years, the 1,000 true dragons have also reproduced. Now they have recovered a portion of their vitality. The old dragon explained, I invited you here this time to borrow your blood and the power of the reincarnation disc. My blood? Jiang Changkong frowned. How much? The old dragon said, I don't know, but the rewards this time are generous. Mount Buzhou will protect you and treat you as a part of it. A part of Mount Buzhou? Jiang Changkong pondered, What do you want my blood for? Change the blood pool. The old dragon did not hide anything. Back then, the sage instructed us to let the owner of the reincarnation plate come to Mount Bujo one day and use his own blood to change the blood pool. Can I take a look at the blood pool first? Jiang Changkong asked. Please follow me. The old dragon turned around and led the way. Jiang Changkong followed beside him and listened to him explain the details. They were originally the 1,000 dragon eggs that were moved to Mount Bujo by Hutu. After so many years of development, the 1,000 true dragons had already grown to more than 5,000. There were a few peak celestial venerables and many celestial emperors. Hutu had even instructed them to wait for the owner of the reincarnation disc to appear and think of a way to lure him into Mount Bujo to change the blood pool. If they followed the normal route, this would not be a big problem. As long as they used up the first baleful aura, they would be able to see clues to the treasure map. After obtaining the treasure map and clearing the immortal essences, celestial emperors would be able to enter directly. However, Jiang Changkong had gone to the chaos space directly, and the immortal essences had not been cleared yet. He had also become a celestial venerable. If he did not think of a way, he would probably only be able to come after Jiang Changkong had proven his Tao. The barrier of Mount Bujo would definitely not be opened unless a sage appeared. At most, celestial emperors would be able to enter. This was the last pure land of the heavenly realm, and also the place where the dragon race lived. Other than the dragon race, there are many other ancient races, right? Jiang Changkong asked. There are indeed. For example, the golden-winged roc, phoenix, Qilin. These races were all saved by Sage Hutu. The old dragon said, at that time, the heavenly realm was in chaos and immortal essences invaded. If these races were not moved here, they would have been truly exterminated. Then what do you mean by the protection of Mount Bujo, being a part of it? Can I enter and exit freely like you? Jiang Changkong asked. If he could enter Mount Bujo at will, he really had nothing to fear. If he could not win, he could hide in. I don't know. When you change the blood pool, Sage Hutu will give you a reward, the old dragon said. In the blood pool, there was a trace of Hutu's spiritual will. Only when he changed the blood pool would that trace of spiritual will appear. Jiang Changkong thought of something else. Moon God once said that there is a hidden force in the heavenly realm. Was it referring to you? This also explained why this force in the heavenly realm was unwilling to come out, and why they could not enter and exit Mount Bujo at will. If they wanted to leave Mount Bujo, they could only do so if Mount Bujo was willing to let them leave. Just like this time, he needed Ao Qingyu to fetch him. The old dragon shook his head and said, not us. Sage Hutu only told us to develop and recuperate. She did not tell us to return to the heavenly realm. If Hutu had such intentions, the barrier of Mount Bujo should have been opened. No? Jiang Changkong thought and said, could it be that the time is not right? If it is a problem of time, Sage Hutu should have left a hint, the old dragon said. Jiang Changkong did not say anything else. They had already arrived in front of a blood pool. The blood pool was 100 meters long and 30 meters wide. Its depth was unknown. This blood, Jiang Changkong's expression changed slightly. He felt a familiar aura. The blood of the monster race and his itinerant cultivator alliance's immortal king were all inside. The immortal god blood that Mount Bujo absorbed was all stored here? This is the blood pool. Put your blood into the blood pool. Together with the reincarnation disc, the blood pool will change, the old dragon said as he pointed at the blood pool. Jiang Changkong looked at the blood pool and fell silent. The blood pool left behind by Hutu was definitely extraordinary. If it was an ordinary pool, he could fill it with a drop of blood. After thinking about it, Jiang Changkong forced a drop of blood into the blood pool. The reincarnation disc released a wisp of reincarnation chi to convert his blood. As there was only one drop, the blood pool did not change much. This time, Jiang Changkong cut his palm and gray blood flowed out quickly. The reincarnation disc continuously released reincarnation chi. Chaos Chi also floated over and entered the blood pool. Plop, plop, plop. The blood in the blood pool began to bubble and boil. A young sapling slowly rose from the blood pool. 12 ancestral magus trees? Jiang Changkong's expression changed slightly. This was the 12 ancestral magus tree at the foot of the mountain. Back then, he had people water it with his blood, but there was no reaction. Was the watering method wrong? And it had to be combined with the reincarnation disc? The reincarnation disc's power not only converted his chaos blood, but also other chaos chi current. A hint of joy appeared on the old dragon's face. The change meant that he had not invited the wrong person. Chapter 777. On Mount Buzhou, the blood pool changed and the 12 magus ancestors rose slowly. The reincarnation disc released the power of reincarnation and enveloped it with saintly might. In the center of the blood pool, under the magus ancestors, 3 drops of blood of different colors absorbed the blood pool's power. Jiang Changkong's blood was flowing out quickly. His face was pale and he looked dispirited. Even an immortal supremacy would be injured after bleeding. The wound on his palm slowly healed. The reincarnation disc stopped and the chaotic aura stopped surging. The blood pool did not seem to change. The 12 magus ancestors also sank. The 3 drops of blood also disappeared. Take it slow. The old dragon also knew that this matter could not be completed in a short period of time. Jiang Changkong swallowed an elixir and circulated his mystic art. I'm afraid the blood pool will take some time. Jiang Changkong put away the reincarnation disc and asked, "Can I leave?" "I'm afraid not before the blood pool changes." Ao Qingyu shook her head lightly. "Mount Buzhou has already opened the door of convenience for you to enter." "All right, then I'll stay in the blood pool from now on." Jiang Changkong frowned. "It seems like it will have to be like this. Saint Hudu asked you to come here. We do not understand the profoundness of the blood pool. If there are any problems, you will be needed." The old dragon thought about it and felt that it was most suitable for Jiang Changkong to stay by the blood pool. Jiang Changkong did not say anything else and sat down cross-legged. "Let's go find some herbs for you to recover quickly," the old dragon said. "Are there immortal stones here? It would be best if there are immortal stones." Jiang Changkong preferred immortal stones. If he could become a sage, 1 drop of his blood would probably be enough. The old dragon shook his head. "No. Although the connate spirit chi here is endless, there will not be sinking star immortal stones. However, don't worry. There is the power of creation here that can make up for your losses." Jiang Changkong raised his brows. "The power of creation left by Empress Hua?" "Yes." The old dragon left after saying that. Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu stayed with him. "What's the situation in the heavenly realm now?" Ao Qingyu asked. After they entered, they never left and lost contact with the heavenly realm. Jiang Changkong sighed. "The heavenly realm is very troublesome now, it's in chaos." He told them about the situation in the heavenly realm, including the moon god's return and the moon god. Little Dragon King blinked his big eyes. "When I get out, I will definitely go to Tian Star to see Sister Yushua." "Dong Wang Changyue?" Ao Qingyu asked. The others might, but Ao Qingyu God. Dong Wang Zhangyue's true identity must be Jiang Changkong's incarnation. Rain Dragon Star Saint Will God, a Yang Saint Wheel was a demon god king, and Jiang God Spirit. Demon, Emperor was a god. Emperor, Sun Demon, Dragon, Dynasty, Su. Now that he had come to Buzhou Mountain and the reincarnation wheel was here, the Demon Emperor's strength would be limited to the late immortal venerable stage, and it would be difficult for him to increase it further. If he advanced in the heaven domain and reached the peak of the immortal Emperor stage, the demonic Tharch would probably go crazy. Yang Yushu's identity could not be used for long. He ran away, but it was a pity he lost a lot of heaven power. The 3 courts raised Heavenly Court as an evil demon. Once this evil demon becomes uncontrollable, they will suffer the consequences, Ao Qingyu said coldly. The problem is, no matter who wins, it will be a huge blow to the heavenly realm. Jiang Chongkong said in a deep voice. In this heavenly realm war, the immortals and gods suffered the most. Be it Heavenly Court Emperor or the 3 heavenly emperors, they did it for the power of heaven. Then Dragon King, hurry up and change the blood pool so you can return to the heavenly realm, Little Dragon King said quickly. Jiang Chongkong's face darkened. Hurry up and let him bleed. He wanted to do it, but his strength did not allow it. As they spoke, the old dragon took out a creation power. This should be enough to help you recover. Jiang Chongkong put away the creation mystic light and refined it in his body. His lost blood qi was quickly recovering. The power of creation is magical. I can recover in a day at most, Jiang Chongkong said. Of course, this is the creation great Tao, the Tao of creation, Lu Qian said. The old dragon also left and brought the little dragon king away. Now, he still had to teach the little dragon king how to cultivate. Ao Qingyu chatted with Jiang Chongkong. The two talked a lot, from the immortal world to the heavenly realm, to the chaos and finally back to the mortal world. Back then, she was still a mermaid king, close to the limit of gods and the peak of the mortal world. At that time, Jiang Chongkong was just an ant in her eyes. If not for the netherworld dragon, he would not even be able to enter the city. Jiang Chongkong somewhat missed his senior sister and the others. He also missed the days of the past. After chatting for a long time, Ao Qingyu left. Jiang Chongkong continued to bleed. The reincarnation disc came out and used the power of reincarnation to convert his blood and chaotic energy. I have to repay my debts. I did not take this reincarnation disc for nothing, Jiang Chongkong said as he bled. Are the 12 Magus ancestral trees to nurture new 12 Magi ancestral trees? What are those 3 drops of blood? Lu Qian asked in his body. I do not know. Maybe I will know after I change the blood pool. Jiang Chongkong sprinkled his blood into the blood pool. Lu Qian looked at the blood in his body. Your blood seems to be different from a normal chaos body. Every living being is different. Even within the same race, there are differences. Of course, there are differences in the blood, Jiang Chongkong said calmly. Lu Qian did not say anything and rested in his body. While injecting blood, Jiang Chongkong was also studying this world. There were mountains, rivers, and dragons. Huda must have spent a lot of effort to create this place. The 3 drops of blood have grown bigger, Lu Qian suddenly said. Jiang Chongkong retracted his attention and looked at the 3 drops of blood. They had indeed grown bigger, twice as big as before. There was a faint aura of life coming from them. Was this turning the 3 drops of blood into living beings? The reincarnation disc also trembled excitedly. If a living being is born and wants to take the reincarnation disc, will you give it to him? Lu Qian suddenly asked. Jiang Chongkong was silent for a moment. I will. This is not mine to begin with. When I reach the limit of an immortal venerable, I will not need the reincarnation disc. When he reached the limit of an immortal venerable, he would not need the reincarnation disc at all. As long as he reached the limit of the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra, it would be fine. When the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra was at its limit, even a peak immortal venerable with a sage artifact might not be able to take him down. Moreover, it was difficult for others to prove their Tao, but he only needed a bit of essence, energy, and spirit to prove his Tao. Lu Qian smiled. It seems that Sage Hutu did not choose the wrong person. When I see her in the future, I will have a good talk with her. You are too weak. Hutu will not see you, Jiang Chongkong said. Lu Qian. Looking at Lu Qian's divine soul's interesting expression, Jiang Chongkong laughed and focused on releasing the blood. He did not know when he would find Hutu. When that time came, he would definitely be a sage or even a peak sage. On the other side, the demon emperor slaughtered the mutant army again and accumulated a lot of power of heaven. When he returned, he would be able to obtain more essence, energy, and spirit and improve further. He might even reach the limit of an immortal venerable. After thinking about it, he started to break through and increase his strength. Chapter 778. The war in the heaven realm would not end in a short period of time. As they obtained the power of heaven, the three heavenly emperors all felt a trace of emotion. They could vaguely feel the legendary realm, but it was just a feeling. It was as if there was a piece of paper blocking his senses. No matter how they tried to comprehend it or how they tried to circulate their xianqi, they were unable to pierce through this piece of paper. The demonic beast emperor had obtained the power of heaven and sensed his main body. This time, Mount Buzhou did not block his senses. Previously, when he used his divine power to enter, he could not sense it. Could it be that the interior of Mount Buzhou was not isolated? The demon emperor could not figure out the answer to this question. He could only continue to accumulate the power of heaven and wait for his real body to come out of Mount Zhou. Because of Jiang Changkong's disappearance, the immortal court's heavenly emperor searched for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. Jiang Changkong seemed to have completely disappeared, and even Venerable Zhenxuan the Celestial could not contact him. Not long after, another immortal Venerable Justice appeared in the immortal court. He looked exactly the same as the Yang Yushu that Jiang Changkong had transformed into. It seemed like the immortal court wanted to keep this impostor alive. On Mount Buzhou, the blood continued to flow into the blood pool. The 3 drops of blood were now the size of footballs. Half of the blood in the blood pool had already turned into gray chaos blood. The 12 ancestral sorcerer trees were still there, and the reincarnation disc continued to release reincarnation power to transform the blood. It's only been 7 days and it's only this big. Jiang Changkong sighed. How long would it take? Lu Qian floated out and saw his pale and haggard face. Can't you stop being impatient? If you're in such a rush, how can you cultivate so quickly? Your Tao heart must be calm. It's not urgent, Jiang Changkong said. Lu Qian's body twitched. Can you reattach your arm? Jiang Changkong calmly pressed his arm back. With his terrifying recovery ability, the wound healed in an instant. Then that's all for today. Lu Qian. He really couldn't understand Jiang Changkong. Huda didn't force him to finish it in one go. In the beginning, it was quite normal for Jiang Changkong to release it bit by bit. Ever since he obtained the power of creation, this fellow simply went crazy. Today, he would break his arm and bleed, tomorrow, he would break his leg, and the day after that, he would cut off his own head. He was simply sick. This scared quite a few true dragons, not daring to approach. They thought that a great demon king had appeared here. As Jiang Changkong refined the power of creation and sensed the surging vitality of the 3 drops of blood, he suddenly felt like he was hatching an egg. However, he didn't know what would hatch from these 3 drops of blood. A special aura flew out of the blood pool and entered Jiang Changkong's body. Lu Qian sensed it. Is it almost done? No, it's the 3 drops of blood that are urging me to hurry up. Jiang Changkong shrugged and said, I want to become a living being as soon as possible. Screech. Suddenly, a cry rang out. Blinding golden light and golden feathers filled the sky. A huge golden rock flapped its wings and flew over. The true dragons immediately panicked, especially the dragon whelps. They fled as if they had seen something horrifying. Jiang Changkong's eyes narrowed as he looked at the golden rock. It was an intermediate immortal emperor. East Sea Dragon King, quickly come out and offer up your delicious dragon meat. The golden-winged rock flapped its wings and brought about a hurricane. Jiang Changkong said in surprise, Is this golden-winged rock so arrogant? It is indeed arrogant to come to the dragon race to eat the Dragon King's meat. Lu Qian was also shocked. This was no longer arrogance. It was completely looking down on the dragon race. Impudent. The little Dragon King stood up and said proudly, You think you are qualified to challenge me? The golden-winged rock circled around the little dragon king. TSK, I don't dare to say about the other dragon race, but I will definitely eat you, the little dragon king. I am the East Sea Dragon King. You have to defeat the acting Dragon King first before you are qualified to challenge me, said the little Dragon King with his head raised. Acting Dragon King? Then Ao Qingyu? A trace of disdain flashed in the golden-winged rock's eyes. She just lost to me some time ago and lost a dragon scale. Of course not. Ao Qingyu is only one of the 13 Sea Kings. The acting Dragon King of the East Sea is someone else, said Ao Qingyu indifferently. The golden-winged rock said in a deep voice, Don't tell me you are looking for a dragon to confer a title in the dragon race? I once said that if the acting Dragon King is here, no matter how many of you come, there will only be a crushing defeat, said the little Dragon King proudly. Now that the acting Dragon King is here, do you dare to accept the challenge? Ha, acting Dragon King, where are you? The golden-winged rock looked around. Jiang Chongkong walked over and said, Acting Dragon King, it's me. You? The golden-winged rock glanced at him. Early divine immortal? Looking at his haggard face and weak aura, he sneered and said, The old rules. No, if you lose this time, you have to return the dragon scale to the Sea King and leave one of your wings, said the little Dragon King. What if I win? The golden-winged rock said coldly. You take away 2 of my scales, and I will give you 50 kilograms of dragon meat, said the little Dragon King with a taut face. It's a deal. I won't go back on my word. Both parties high-fived and agreed. Jiang Chongkong and Lu Qian were a little confused. What's going on? Acting Dragon King, defeat him and we will eat the golden-winged rock's wings, said the little Dragon King quickly. The corner of Jiang Chongkong's mouth twitched. This is a bit of a bully. Little immortal, I'm not bullying you. If you want to blame someone, blame the East Sea Dragon King. The golden-winged rock let out a long roar. Like an arrow, the air of Mount Buzhou exploded. The golden light was dazzling under the sunlight. Jiang Chongkong was a little bored. He raised his right hand and put it down. Bang! Smoke and dust surged, feathers fluttered, and the golden-winged rock screamed, Ouch, ouch, ouch! There's something more painful, a wing. The little Dragon King squinted his eyes and smiled. The golden-winged rock screamed, You don't follow the rules. You're not an immortal. Who told you that I'm an immortal? Jiang Chongkong said lightly. Didn't I tell you that the acting Dragon King is an immortal venerable? The little Dragon King smiled happily. The golden-winged rock, immortal venerable? An immortal venerable, and you pretend to be an immortal? Don't you dragons care about your face at all? You lied to me. You're clearly an immortal venerable, but you pretend to be an immortal. The golden-winged rock was about to cry. Jiang Chongkong coughed lightly and said, This venerable likes to keep a low profile. You like to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. The golden-winged rock was very resentful. Take your hand away, I'll give you wings. Jiang Chongkong loosened his hand. The golden-winged rock was also a ruthless character. He pulled hard, and amidst a mournful scream, one of his wings was torn off. The feathers fell off, turning into a bare wing of flesh. A wing grew out and the feathers were inserted back. What are you doing? The little Dragon King said angrily. I only said wings, not feathers, the golden-winged rock said calmly. The little Dragon King was furious. Jiang Chongkong said lightly, The Dragon King doesn't like this wing, he likes the other one. Here, here. The golden-winged rock quickly gave the feather to the little Dragon King and grew new feathers. Only then did the little Dragon King become happy. You're welcome to fight next time. Jiang Chongkong sighed lightly. He always had a guilty feeling of bullying a child. Acting Dragon King, let's go eat the wing. The little Dragon King pulled him away. Ao Qingyu also asked for her scale back and put it back on her body. The golden-winged rock did not leave. Instead, he followed them and looked at them pitifully as they roasted his wing. Isn't it a little bad to eat someone's wing in front of them? Chapter 779. Jiang Chongkong was a little embarrassed. After all, it was not good to roast someone's wings in front of them. It would be fine if they were enemies, but it seemed like they were not. This is the shame of the defeated. Little Dragon King raised his head and looked at the golden rock in disdain. Last time, he roasted dragon meat in front of me. What's going on? Jiang Chongkong felt a headache. Killing is forbidden on Mount Buzhou. After all, we might be the only ones left in the entire heaven realm. Ao Qingyu explained. Living together, it is inevitable that there will be friction. Strength will determine the winner. The winner cannot be injured too badly. He can only ask for something. Our dragon's scales and his feathers are both excellent refining materials. Little Dragon King continued, I want to refine a golden feather robe. Only then will it be worthy of my identity as the East Sea Dragon King. Then how many feathers have you collected? Jiang Chongkong asked. Little Dragon King lowered his head and said dejectedly, just this little. Jiang Chongkong found it funny. Little Dragon King had just reached the Immortal Emperor realm, and Ao Qingyu had also entered the mid-stage Immortal Emperor realm not long ago. Neither of them was strong. They were not this Golden Rock's match even if they joined forces. If not for him, when the Golden Rock gathered all the dragon scales and refined the immortal armor, they probably would not even be able to get a single feather. The Golden Rock snorted and said, I fell into your trap this time. I will definitely not fail next time. With the substitute Dragon King here, I will pluck all your feathers out, Little Dragon King said proudly. Alright, don't be like that. Jiang Chongkong rubbed Little Dragon King's head and looked at the roasted wings. They are all children. Don't worry too much. Let's eat together. The Golden Rock, one piece. Have some? Lu Qian was already cramping from laughing. Do you want to anger this bird to death? Or do you want to make me laugh to death? Cough, sorry, I still have some meat here. Let's eat together. Jiang Chongkong took out some chaos meat. I forgot to take it out previously. Chaos beast. The Golden Rock's eyes lit up in surprise. I didn't expect you to recognize it, Jiang Chongkong said. This group of golden-winged great pings had been living in Buzhou Mountain for a long time. They should not have seen chaos beasts before. To be able to recognize it at a glance was already not bad. The golden-winged rock didn't say much. It transformed into a human form and was also a handsome young man. After roasting the ferocious beast meat, he gave some to each of them. Immortal Emperor-level ferocious beast. It's just right for you. Jiang Chongkong ate a little and tasted it. His culinary skills were not bad. He then took out some immortal wine and poured a cup for each of them. Speaking of which, this sovereign and the golden-winged rock can be considered to be fated. A friend of mine happened to obtain the yin-yang twin qi bottle, Jiang Chongkong said. Yin-yang dual qi bottle? Where? The golden-winged rock asked hurriedly. How should I address you? Jiang Chongkong smiled. The golden-winged great Ping race, Ping Wanli. The golden-winged great Ping said arrogantly. But when he thought that the person in front of him was a celestial venerable, his arrogance dissipated. Jiang Chongkong smiled. Good name. My friend is the monster emperor of the heaven realm monster race. His name is Dongwang Changyue. He controls the Chaos Bell Fragment and the yin-yang dual qi bottle. He is famous in the heaven realm. With the monster emperor's current identity and status, he could definitely be said to be famous in the heaven realm. Heaven realm? How is the heaven realm now? Ping Wanli asked curiously. The heaven realm is in chaos now. Jiang Chongkong explained the situation in the heaven realm. Ping Wanli said worriedly, will the yin-yang dual qi bottle be destroyed? This was the treasure of their race. Although it wasn't a sage artifact, it was a treasure only inferior to it. If they could return to the heaven realm, the golden-winged great Ping race would definitely think of a way to get the yin-yang dual qi bottle back. It shouldn't be. The monster emperor is quite strong. Even if something happens, the monster emperor will handle it, Jiang Chongkong replied. The four of them drank and chatted at the same time. The immortal wine that Jiang Chongkong took out was stronger. The three immortal emperors were soon drunk. The golden-winged Great Pring burped and gnawed on the primal chaos beast meat. His eyes were hazy from drunkenness. Let me tell you, Mount Buzhou has many treasure lands. You don't know about them. Mount Buzhou was refined by the ancient sages. There are countless treasure lands. Many people obtained fortuitous encounters down there. Jiang Chongkong said. No. Pring Wanli shook his head. What is that considered fortuitous encounter? Everything down there is trash. The real treasure is above. The real treasure? Then what treasure do you think it is? Little Dragon King patted him and said drunkenly. You want to trick me? Pring Wanli pointed at her and laughed. I will tell you today. That treasure is Pan-gu bang. Before he could finish speaking, Pring Wanli collapsed onto the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Jiang Chongkong. He drank too much. If he knew this would happen, he would have drunk less. This treasure was left behind by Pan-gu? What could it be? Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu were also drunk. Jiang Chongkong shook his head and ate the primal chaos beast meat. Soon, some dragons came over. Venerable Jiang, we will take care of them. Rest well. Thank you. Jiang Chongkong stood up and left. Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu had lived here for so long. It would not be a problem for them to take care of them. Of course, he still left chaos divine power in their bodies. This Mount Buzhou could not be said to be absolutely safe. Returning to the blood pool, Lu Gan said, that little bird said something about a real treasure. Pan-gu, could it be left behind by the great god Pan-gu? When he wakes up, we will know, Jiang Chongkong said lightly. He refined the light of creation and began to recover. He looked at his own data. Now, he was also a peak immortal venerable. Jiang Chongkong. Peak immortal venerable 8 transformations mystic art. Basic, 1/2. 5 million connate chaotic Tao body. Basic, 1/2. 5 million golden crow immortal sutra. Complete, 1/39. 0.625 million essence, chi, and spirit. 2.21 million. The night passed quickly. A terrified scream sounded. Ah! Where are my feathers? Where are my feathers? Pring Wanli screamed. After getting drunk last night, he automatically reverted to his original form. Then, he woke up early in the morning, and the feathers on his body were gone. Only the tuft of feathers on his butt was left. His body was bare, and the feathers on his head were all plucked out. What are you shouting for? Little Dragon King opened his eyes in dissatisfaction. Then, ha, what an ugly bird. Jiang Chongkong covered his face. He would not say that the dragons plucked out all his feathers yesterday. Pring Wanli, your body is weak. Don't eat so much chaos beast meat and drink immortal wine. Look, this is bad. The power is too strong, and it even destroyed your feathers. One of the old dragons said earnestly. Pring Wanli, I feel that you are tricking me. This dragon race is too shameless. Lu Gan could not help but say. I am a golden-winged great Pung. My feathers will be gone if I spend a night with the dragon race. Little Dragon King rubbed his chin and said, Fortunately, the substitute Dragon King helped me refine the power of the ferocious beasts last night. Ao Qingyu nodded, indicating that she felt the same. Pring Wanli's mind was buzzing. His instincts told him that these dragons were all lying to him. However, he did not dare to say anything. This was the dragon race's territory. He could not afford to offend the East Sea Dragon King. Chapter 780. Ping Wanli wanted to run. He didn't want the feather anymore. He couldn't afford to offend these shameless dragons. However, just as his body flew into the air, he was pulled back by a force. Substitute Dragon King. Ping Wanli's mouth twitched. He really didn't want to see this substitute Dragon King right now. An immortal venerable. We had a pleasant conversation last night, but you insisted on telling me the real treasure is related to Pangu. Jiang Chongkong smiled and said, originally, I didn't want it, but you said that if I don't return the favor after eating my ferocious beast meat, I would be looking down on you. There's such a thing? Pring Wanli was stunned. Was there such a thing after drinking yesterday? I don't remember such a thing happening. It's absolutely true. Last night, you said that the true treasures of Mount Buzhou are all here, and that they have something to do with Pangu. Jiang Chongkong smiled and said, I originally didn't mind, but you said that after you woke up, you had to tell me, or else you would be struck by lightning, and you even swore to the heavens. No, that can't be right. Why didn't I tell you last night? Pring Wanli's voice was trembling. Because you said that you can't explain it clearly when you're drunk, and that you'll have to wait until you're sober in the morning to tell me in detail. Jiang Chongkong said calmly, You're not thinking of going back on your word, are you? I won't make things difficult for you, but you have to swear to the heavens. The golden-winged rock. Am I retarded? I swear to the heavens that I will tell you about the treasure. We all heard it last night. The real treasure. What Pangu? Little Dragon King and Aoqingyu walked over. This is a secret of the great golden-winged Pring race. Pring Wanli scowled miserably. I can't say. Go ahead then. In any case, you were the one who made the vow, and I'm just reminding you. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and said, Be careful of getting struck by lightning. The lightning of the heavenly Tao could definitely kill an immortal emperor. Pring Wanli didn't have the confidence to go against the oath. However, that good stuff, was he really going to tell him just like that? Not only did he lose his feathers, but he also posted the information about the treasure. Jiang Chongkong's expression was indifferent, and he did not rush him. The little Dragon King muttered, An oath to the heavenly Tao. Wouldn't his body and soul be destroyed, his soul scattered, and he would die without a complete corpse? He definitely won't survive, Ao said softly. I'll tell you. Ping Wanli jumped in fright. The true treasure isn't actually a real treasure. His soul dispersed, his body and soul destroyed, and he died without a complete corpse. Thinking of this, Pring Wanli's scalp turned numb. Oh? No treasures? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Be careful of the heavenly Tao. Pring Wanli frowned. That's a primal chaos entrance. There really are some treasures inside, but only those who are fated can enter. Fate? Jiang Chongkong asked curiously, How so? Pring Wanli said, I'm not sure either. I went there by chance. Some of my people can't enter, not even immortal sovereigns. If that's the case, I'm a little curious. What kind of place can isolate the celestial reverend? Jiang Chongkong was interested. You mentioned Pangu last night. Was it left by Pangu? I don't know. I only know that it's related to Pangu. Ping Wanli shook his head. I obtained a strand of yin and yang energy inside. That's how I became a mid-stage celestial emperor. Where is that place? Jiang Chongkong asked. I can bring you there. I found it by chance. Only a small portion of my people know about it. Pring Wanli said softly. Okay, let's go now. Lead the way. Pring Wanli had a bitter expression, but he could only lead the way. He hated himself. Why did he say everything after drinking 2 mouthfuls of wine? He had to stop drinking in the future. This jug of wine is for you. It's a high-grade wine. Even peak celestial emperors might not be able to drink it. Jiang Chongkong said calmly. Thank you, celestial reverend. Damn, why did he just accept it like that? Ping Wanli hugged the wine and wanted to throw it away. But even peak celestial emperors might not be able to drink it. It was helpful for his cultivation. While Peng Wanli was blaming himself, Lu Gan, who was in Jiang Chongkong's body, nearly laughed out loud. Take it easy. Don't laugh until you die. Jiang Chongkong said. Lu Gan suppressed his laughter. I realized that you really know how to bully kids. You even swore to the heavens. Who bullied him? I just gave him a jug of high-grade wine. Jiang Chongkong said seriously. This was a trade, a proper trade. Lu Gan saw through everything. You just want him to get drunk so that he can talk more, right? Jiang Chongkong didn't reply. That was indeed what he was thinking. As they spoke, they left the dragon egg world. Peng Wanli's feathers grew out once more. However, they weren't as strong as before. After passing through the chaotic astral winds and chaotic energy currents, Jiang Chongkong saw towering trees, primitive forests, and precipitous mountain walls. Peng Wanli brought them through the forest and came in front of a mountain wall. This is the place. Whether or not you can enter will depend on fate. After saying that, Peng Wanli charged towards the mountain wall. Ripples appeared on the mountain wall like water. Peng Wanli's body disappeared. Let me give it a try. Jiang Chongkong arrived in front of the mountain wall and pressed his hand on it. It seems that I have fate with this place. After saying that, he walked in. The little dragon king and Ao Qingyu followed. Ao Qingyu followed, but the little dragon king couldn't. Jiang Chongkong could only return and send the little dragon king back to the dragon egg world before going back himself. The two of them passed through the mountain wall and entered a gray space. Chaotic energy currents flowed. Peng Wanli laid on top of the chaotic energy. I haven't seen the depths yet. I only saw a stone tablet in front. Let's go take a look, Jiang Chongkong said. The three of them flew over and arrived in front of a stone tablet. On the stone tablet, there were 4 ancient words carved in ancient immortal characters. Pangu Dao Fruit? Pangu Dao Fruit? A strange light flashed in Jiang Chongkong's eyes. Peng Wanli said, I didn't find any Pangu Dao Fruit, only yin and yang energy. Jiang Chongkong's divine power spread out. The surroundings were gray and chaotic. He couldn't find anything. With his current strength, he couldn't search this place in a short time. Ao Qingyu frowned. Why can we come in but you can't? Jiang Chongkong walked forward. Look around. Peng Wanli, did you encounter any danger here? No, I just walked nearby. I don't know if there's any danger in the depth. Peng Wanli said. Jiang Chongkong searched while contacting Lu Qian. Have you heard any news about Pangu Dao Fruit? I've heard some secrets. Lu Qian pondered. But I don't know if it's true or false. Tell me about it. Jiang Chongkong said. There were many rumors about the great god Pangu. 2 of them caught the attention of the sages. The first was that Pangu didn't die when he created the world. He successfully proved his Tao and left behind his comprehension in the heavenly realm. Lu Qian said, the second was that Pangu turned into all things, but he also left behind his Tao. Moreover, there were some things sealed in Buzhou Mountain. That's also the original Buzhou Mountain. Jiang Chongkong stopped. Could it be a forgery by the sages? I'm not sure. There were no rumors about a sage obtaining Pangu Dao Fruit, Lu Qian said. Jiang Chongkong gazed at the vast chaos as his divine energy rapidly spread out. Chapter 781. In the chaos dimension, Jiang Chongkong, who was a peak immortal venerate, searched for half an hour but did not find anything. They had already left Peng Wanli's territory and entered the depths. Ao Qingyu's expression changed slightly. She looked to the left. Over there, I feel like something is calling me. Jiang Chongkong was shocked. His divine energy didn't have any reaction. The 3 traveled through the chaos dimension and followed the feeling. A few minutes later, a little golden dragon swam in the bell of chaos. Jiang Chongkong's eyes narrowed. The little dragon was surrounded by his divine power. However, his divine power could not detect this little dragon at all. The little dragon also ignored his divine power, treating it as ordinary chaotic aura. Ao Qingyu took a step forward and transformed into a blue divine dragon. Roar. The little golden dragon sensed something and roared. Its dragon might surged. The dragon's body spun in the air, emitting rings of golden light. The area behind the little dragon suddenly shook. Chaotic aura surged and left this place. Immortal palaces appeared one after another. The golden dragon roared and turned into a ray of golden light that entered Ao Qingyu's body. Sixth brother. Ao Qingyu spoke in a low voice with a trace of pleasant surprise and a trace of desolation. Sixth brother. Jiang Chongkong was stunned. The sixth sea king of the mortal world? Ao Qingyu's voice was low. Sixth brother also left with the ancient dragon race. I don't know where he went. At least, it's not bad news. Maybe they're living well, Jiang Chongkong said. The moon god's main body had an 80% chance of proving the Tao. Back then, Hudu had also returned. This proved that the place where the ancient gods went was also helpful to them, and they could return. Ao Qingyu nodded. Let's go in and take a look. With that, Ao Qingyu walked in first. Peng Wanli was very careful entering the palace. After all, it was left behind by the ancient dragon race. The ancient dragon race and the great golden-winged Peng race did not have a good relationship. Even now, those shameless dragons made him very angry. There were only 16 palaces. In front of each palace was a true dragon statue made of chaos stones. There were no names, only numbers. Laboratories 1 to 16. The doors were tightly shut. Ao Qingyu pushed the door open. Jiang Chongkong stood in front of her. He had been to the laboratory many times and encountered many dangers. The palace opened, but there was no danger coming out. It was pitch black inside. Jiang Chongkong's eyes pierced through the darkness and saw 3 items. One was an aqua-blue crystal that was half the height of a human, emitting misty water vapor. The crystal contained a vast amount of spiritual energy and the power of water. Even Jiang Chongkong was surprised. Buzz. The crystal turned into a streak of light and disappeared into Ao Qingyu's body. The other 2 items were a grayish-blue crown and a grayish-blue scepter. 3 items landed in Ao Qingyu's hands. These were weapons that were tailor-made for her. Isn't this fate? Peng Wanli felt a blow to his heart. He was the one who discovered this place, yet he had lost all his feathers. Now that he had brought them here, he had only obtained a strand of yin-yang aura, but Ao Qingyu had obtained 3 treasures. Judging from their appearance, any one of the 3 treasures was better than his yin and yang qi. A faint pressure spread out. Ao Qingyu wore a crown on her head and held a scepter in her hand. She looked just like the Ocean King in the mortal world. Plop! Peng Wanli knelt down. A grade 8 immortal artifact. The scepter and crown were both grade 8 immortal artifacts, immortal venerables. Peak grade 8 immortal artifacts. Jiang Chongkong's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Peak grade 8 immortal artifacts were only second to sage artifact. Even in the heavenly realm, there weren't many of them. Ao Qingyu thanks the Dragon King. Ao Qingyu bowed respectfully, and the first laboratory slowly dissipated as if it had been eroded by the wind. Congratulations, said Jiang Chongkong calmly. After guarding the mortal world for so many years, the ancient dragon race hadn't forgotten her. Her many years of perseverance finally paid off. Ao Qingyu stood up. Her slender body was straight, and her body glowed with a faint blue light. Her aura was also changing. Her immortal Tao laws and dragon might were slowly strengthening. That crystal was increasing her power. What was that crystal? Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and isolated the pressure. Peng Wanli heaved a sigh of relief. Chaos water essence. If I can completely digest it, I will reach the limit of immortal venerables, said Ao Qingyu. Of course, it will take a long time. Jiang Chongkong was a little envious, but it was just envy. The ancient dragon race had prepared an immortal artifact for her, as well as the energy she would need for cultivation in the future. The first laboratory had completely disappeared. There was no trace left. Jiang Chongkong looked at the second laboratory. He pushed open the door. There was no danger either. But this time, it wasn't Ao Qingyu's fortuitous opportunity, but Peng Wanli's. A 30-meter-long yin and yang energy wrapped around Peng Wanli like a waterfall. The new feather became stronger, even stronger than before. Screech! Peng Wanli cried out excitedly. The yin and yang energy was too dense. Although there was no immortal artifact, he was satisfied. There was only one stream of energy in this laboratory. The palace also started to corrode. The yin and yang energy entered Peng Wanli's body. He would slowly digest it when he cultivated in the future. He pushed open the third palace. Roar! Suddenly, a roar could be heard. Boundless chaos energy dissipated. A beast with blood-red eyes opened its mouth and enveloped the three of them. Jiang Changkong didn't move. His chaos god power spread out and locked the beast in place. There was only one beast in the empty temple. There was nothing else. Why is there suddenly danger? Jiang Changkong frowned and looked at Ao Qingyu. Although it was only a mid-stage immortal emperor, without him, the two of them would be in danger. Ao Qingyu shook her head. She didn't know either. When the murderer appeared, she was shocked. Peng Wanli looked at the beast. This beast doesn't look like a chaos beast. Jiang Changkong's god power was like threads that wrapped around the beast and sliced it into pieces. Dong! A palm-sized red stone slab that gave off a blazing aura fell out from the minced meat. Jiang Changkong picked up the stone slab. It looked like it was damaged and there was an axe carved on it. The third laboratory also collapsed. He kept the stone slab and went to the fourth laboratory. It was another beast. This time, its eyes were blue and it looked ferocious. There was another stone slab hidden in its body. It was blue and there was an arm drawn on it. Jiang Changkong thought about it and decided to open the remaining 12 palaces. However, only 5 palaces opened under his god power. The remaining 7 were still tightly shut. 5 beasts charged out. They were all sliced by Jiang Changkong's god power and the 5 stone slabs fell. He gathered the 5 stone slabs. They were metal, wood, water, fire, earth, yin and yang. When they were pieced together, there was a muscular man with a blurry face holding an axe. Could this be the Pangu Dao fruit? Peng Wanli guessed. Ao Qingyu looked at the remaining 7 palaces. It shouldn't be. There are still 7 palaces that haven't opened. Jiang Changkong smiled. Why would the Pangu Dao fruit be hidden in these 7 stone slabs? If the 7 beasts were all peak celestial venerables, he might believe it. However, the 7 beasts were only at the Celestial Emperor level. Celestial Emperors could destroy these 7 stone slabs. The remaining palaces would need to be opened by hand. Jiang Changkong pushed open the door of the stone palace. A torrential blood light flooded the 3 of them. Chapter 782. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were unable to endure it. The majestic blood energy was enough to crush an immortal emperor. Jiang Changkong frowned. The green light in his body automatically appeared and swallowed the blood energy. The azure light swallowed the blood energy like a whale, and the flood of blood light quickly dissipated. The innate divine runes in Jiang Changkong's body were also transforming rapidly, and there was an additional trace of a unique aura. The power in his body was also increasing. Boundless blood energy surged from the top of his head, shaking the primal chaos. Lu Qian was also taken care of. His incomplete divine soul seemed to be bathed in the light of creation. It expanded like a balloon and gained a tinge of blood. Old Lu, what is this? Jiang Changkong tried to absorb the blood qi, but he couldn't figure out what it was. The 7 stone tablets flew out and absorbed the blood energy as well. The stone slabs began to fuse. The blood energy was like glue, sticking them together tightly. I don't know. Lu Qian's answer was straightforward. He didn't know much about the ancient immortal gods' research. After fusing with the blood energy, the slate seemed to have come to life. With the stone slab as the skeleton, flesh and blood began to grow. The stone axe also began to change, turning into a real stone axe. However, this stone man was still very small. His muscles bulged and he looked very strong. The fluctuations of his aura had already reached the limits of an immortal emperor, faintly showing signs of surpassing it. After a long time, the blood-red light was completely absorbed, and the palace also dissipated. The changes within Jiang Changkong's body also stopped, and an ancient aura appeared within it. The data didn't change. It was still the same. They went to the next palace, and fortune profound light poured out. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were both undergoing transformations. Bathed in the profound light of creation, their foundations were growing, and their comprehension of the great Tao was also increasing. The slate man also had a special aura. His chest rose and fell slightly as if he had come to life. A trace of spirituality. The stone tablet emitted a terrifying aura. It had already surpassed the immortal emperor realm and reached the immortal venerable realm. This thing is coming to life? Lu Qian's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Jiang Changkong furrowed his brows. Let's wait and see. I want to see if he can really come back to life. After becoming an immortal venerate, Jiang Changkong had become more sensitive to danger. He did not sense any danger from the stone man. Lu Gan didn't either. As long as this jinx didn't say anything, Jiang Changkong wasn't worried. There were still 5 palaces left. Jiang Changkong pushed open another one. This time, a misty primal chaos qi enveloped them. The divine inscriptions in Jiang Changkong's body continued to absorb the primal chaos qi, while Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were also being tempered. As the slate golem absorbed the aura of primal chaos, the 7 types of power, as well as the blood-colored light and the power of good fortune, transformed and fused into primal chaos. Suddenly, the slate man opened his eyes and stared at him. Jiang Changkong responded with a look of his own, and their gazes collided in the air. A special feeling came from the stone man, and Jiang Changkong had a strange feeling. This slate man seemed to have a chaotic Taoist body just like him. Divine power entered his body. There was a stream of primal qi circulating in the slate body, which was somewhat similar to his 8 revolutions mysterious art. However, his 8 revolutions mysterious art was more suitable for him, and the divine power he cultivated was stronger. After they finished tempering, Jiang Changkong pushed open the next door. This time, there was no power, only darkness. The slate man left his palm and floated in the air. In the darkness, streams of purple energy floated out and entered the slate man's body. The slate man turned into a purple egg and landed in his hand. Primal Chaos Purple Qi? Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli exclaimed at the same time. Streams of purple energy lit up, followed by endless purple energy, but it didn't care about them and quickly dissipated. Don't go. The two couldn't help but reach out to grab it. Primal Chaos Purple Qi, the foundation of the great Tao. In order to become a heavenly Tao sage, one had to have Primal Chaos Purple Qi. This was a legend left behind in the primordial era. As people from the primordial era, they were very clear about this and naturally wanted to obtain Primal Chaos Purple Qi. One stream of Primal Chaos Purple Qi could support a heavenly Tao sage. This endless stream of Primal Chaos Purple Qi could support countless immortal venerables. That would be countless heavenly Tao sages. Lu Qian was also shocked. The foundation of the great Tao, why not leave it behind? This might not be true. Jiang Changkong shook his head. The Primal Chaos Purple Qi dissipated along with the palaces. Seeing their disappointed expressions, Jiang Changkong smiled. Don't be disappointed. This might just be an illusion. If a sage could be born, they would be able to sweep through the heaven realm and truly unify the heaven realm. The 4 heavenly thearchs of the heaven realm wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. However, it was impossible. So much Primal Chaos Purple Qi didn't exist even in the primordial era. I'm a little dizzy. I'm shocked by the Primal Chaos Purple Qi, Ao Qingyu said. Peng Wanli shook his head. That's true. If there was so much Primal Chaos Purple Qi, the ancient immortals wouldn't need to leave. At that time, even immortals would be able to directly prove their Tao. There were still 3 palaces left. After Jiang Chongkong opened them, the egg in his hand flew out again. Plop! The sound of water entering could be heard in the dark space. Buzz! A streak of green light flickered, and a primal chaos green lotus rose up. The stone man, who had turned into an egg, was currently on the green lotus, surrounded by rays of green light and primal chaos aura. A powerful life force appeared from the egg. It had already surpassed the mid-stage immortal venerable and was still rising. A few breaths later, it reached the late-stage immortal venerable, and it still didn't stop. Lu Gan's expression changed drastically. He really created Pangu? Pangu. Several kinds of energy merged and turned into chaos, forming a chaos egg. Now, the chaos lotus rose and nurtured this egg. Once this egg broke, the only difference between it and Pangu was that this egg was a little smaller, right? The connection between Jiang Chongkong and the giant egg became stronger. As cultivators of the 8 revolutions mystic art, they seemed to share the same origin. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were so scared that they didn't dare to speak. Boom! Suddenly, the giant egg exploded. The chaos lotus also cracked, and the palaces started to dissipate. The stone slate man didn't jump out, and there was no so-called Pangu. A crystal flew out from the explosion and floated towards Jiang Chongkong. Jiang Chongkong was slightly stunned. He stretched out his hand to catch the crystal, and a special feeling swept through his heart. The azure light in his body seemed to have encountered a delicacy, and it directly enveloped the crystal and swallowed it. A message entered his mind. Jiang Chongkong looked around, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. "What did you find?" Lu Gan asked. "All of this is fake, but it's also real," Jiang Chongkong sighed. "We are standing in the remnant power of time." Remnant power of time? Lu Gan was shocked. How is that possible? Then why didn't you find the special fluctuations of time? Because the ancient immortal gods hid very well, and I couldn't find them. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. The endless primordial violet aura is also real, but it appeared in the end of the ancient era. I don't know if it was taken away by the ancient immortal gods after that. Saying that, Jiang Chongkong pushed open the door to the next palace. Lu Qian asked, "But the things you obtained were all real?" "That's right. The ancient immortal gods hid their treasures in the remnant power of time." Jiang Chongkong explained. The remnant power of time before him fluctuated. Chapter 783. The remnant power of time recorded the scene from back then. The ancient immortal gods were doing research here. The stone slabs that they saw were all done by the ancient immortal gods. In the end, they succeeded in their research, but they also failed. The created Pangu was not the real Pangu after all. They let Pangu, who had been created, drown in the river of time and cut off all research. The ancient immortals hid some things here and left the heaven realm. The primordial violet chi was also real, an endless stream of it. However, they did not use the primordial purple chi as the foundation for their Tao validation. Instead, they chose to take it away. Even with the primordial violet chi, he might not be able to prove his Tao. The heavenly Tao had to agree to it. Back then, Zenyuanzi's good friend, Taoist Hongyun, had obtained the primordial violet chi, but didn't he also die in the end? Heavenly Tao saints had their limitations after all. Only primordial chaos saints could be free and unfettered. What did the sages do when they left? Lu Qian was puzzled. If the heavenly Tao collapsed, the saints would also fall. How could they leave the heavenly realm through the endless chaos? Or did they break away from the heavenly Tao and become primordial chaos themselves? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, "You'll know when you see it in the future." Looking at the last palace, Jiang Chongkong chose to push it open. Buzz! As the palace opened, an ancient aura spread out, and a figure sat cross-legged in the dark palace. There was no vitality, only the smell of decay. Is this also an image of time? Ao Qingyu was a little uncertain. I don't know. Jiang Chongkong reached out and touched it. It felt solid. However, those who could be here were definitely immortals. Why did they fall? Immortal gods already had an endless lifespan. Since they could appear here, they should be members of the ancient immortal gods. They should also have a way to prevent themselves from being assimilated by the primal chaos. A celestial glow flickered as a faint figure came out from the decaying body. "It's him, Tai-Bai Jinxing," Lu Gon exclaimed. The ancient immortal god was a famous immortal god in the heaven realm during the ancient era. He was a minister that the Hao Tian Emperor valued greatly. He had a snow-white beard, a horsetail whisk in his hand, and a full head of white hair. "Greetings, fellow Taoist." The faint soul bowed slightly. "Greetings, senior." The three of them bowed at the same time. Tai-Bai Jinxing smiled faintly. "I'm sure you've all seen everything. We're heading to the other side, leaving behind fellow Taoists. We're truly ashamed." "Nirvana Realm?" Jiang Chongkong frowned. "What is Nirvana Realm? I do not know either. Perhaps my main body knows. I am only a strand of divine will, left behind to pass on some things." Tai-Bai Jinxing said. Jiang Chongkong and the other two said solemnly, "Please instruct us, senior." "The Pangu Dao fruit is a lie made up by the saints. There is no real Dao fruit. If there is, then the heaven realm, the immortal realm, and the endless mortal world are the Dao fruit." Tai-Bai Jinxing smiled and said, "You don't have to chase after us. Develop well, and you will meet again in the future." The three of them listened carefully. There was no need to pursue it. Let them govern the heaven realm now? Ho Tu Saint has decreed that everyone must protect the heaven realm. Do not enter the chaos to search for celestial spirit. The faint soul slowly dissipated. Jiang Chongkong and the other two were confused. "We can't enter the primal chaos to search for immortal essences? Isn't this just for the immortal spirit to grow?" Lu Qian frowned and said, "That's not right. Back then, Ho Tu Saint asked our ancient descendants to fight against the immortal spirit. If not for the fact that the immortal spirits had become much stronger in the end, they would have definitely killed all the immortal spirit. At that time, Ho Tu had also slaughtered countless immortal spirit. Why didn't he let them search now? Tai-Bai Jinxing had already dissipated. They could not ask him even if they wanted to. Immortal spirits are extremely dangerous. If they are not destroyed, how will the heaven realm resist the birth of primordial chaos realm cultivators in the future? Jiang Chongkong said solemnly, "We have to kill the immortal spirit." Could this Tai-Bai Jinxing be a fake? Ao Qingyu guessed. Immortal spirits shouldn't be able to come here. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. He could not understand either. He did not think further and left with them. Since he could not figure it out, he would not think about it anymore. When he reached primordial chaos realm, he would kill all the immortal spirit. After leaving the primal chaos space, Peng Wanli returned to the great golden-winged Peng race. Jiang Chongkong and Ao Qingyu returned to the dragon race. They had gained a lot this time. Ao Qingyu needed to enter seclusion to digest the chaos water essence's power. They returned to the blood pool and continued to bleed. Jiang Chongkong sensed the crystals in his body. The azure light was digesting the crystal's power. The connate divine pattern was also changing. The special aura became denser and denser. Lu Qian also benefited. There was a trace of special aura in his body that was nourished by the connate divine pattern. Unfortunately, he was only a remnant soul now and could not sense this special aura. Jiang Chongkong tried to circulate this special aura. A divine might that surpassed an immortal venerable was emitted. The reincarnation disk trembled and activated the sage might to respond. Jiang Chongkong sensed carefully. This aura was not weaker than the sage might, but it was also different. It was still very weak now, but once he digested the crystals, it would definitely become extremely powerful. Lu Qian was also shocked. He exclaimed, "What kind of power is this?" Pangu's power? Jiang Chongkong pondered. This crystal flew out from Pangu, which was created by the ancient immortals. Was this Pangu's power? He was not sure. The ancient immortals had never seen the real Pangu. It was just an imitation, not the real Pangu. But it was also a mystic art, and it was also nurtured by the Chaos Green Lotus, so it could be said to be Pangu. Jiang Chongkong felt the azure light in his body and thought of the azure light in the Holy Land. Was this the mark of Pangu? Whoosh! The blood pool trembled. There was a trace of azure in his blood. The changes in the blood pool sped up. The 3 drops of blood also swelled. Soon, he would be able to completely change the blood pool and complete the mission Ho Tu gave him. Lu Qian enjoyed the tempering. Although he did not know what this change was, it was definitely a good thing. Maybe when he revived, his strength would increase. Jiang Chongkong released blood. The war in the heavenly realm continued. The demon Emperor Heaven's power was accumulating more and more. When he changed the blood pool, the demon Emperor Heaven's power would definitely allow him to reach the limit of an immortal venerable. The Heavenly Court's mutant army was also becoming stronger. The heavenly realm was in chaos. The heavenly Tao only rewarded him with the power of heaven. Time flew. Another 10 days passed. The blood pool's transformation was finally complete. The crystals were almost digested. The special aura in Jiang Chongkong's body was also very dense. The connate divine pattern was also very terrifying. Jiang Chongkong's special aura was now comparable to the reincarnation disc. Although it was still a little weak, it was because he was not strong enough. When he improved, even if the other party had a sage artifact, it would not be a big threat to him. In these 10 days, Peng Wanli came often. He was rubbed by Ao Qingyu and almost had all his feathers plucked. Fortunately, with their previous experience, they could be considered friends. The dragon race did not go too far. Boom! The last drop of blood in the blood pool was completed. Under the 12 shaman tree, the 3 drops of blood had turned into a huge blood ball the size of a person. A powerful life force emanated from the blood sphere, accompanied by a series of growls. The ancestral shaman tree swayed and a blurry figure formed. Ho Tu! Jiang Chongkong stopped releasing blood. The reincarnation disc also returned to his side. The chaotic air current no longer surged. Ho Tu's figure appeared and pointed at Lu Qian's forehead. Information flowed into his mind. Chapter 784. After Mount Buzhou broke, the ancient immortals and gods repaired it. The golden barrier was set up by the ancient immortals and gods. Even a true sage would not be able to break it, much less an immortal venerable. Only when the immortal spirits of the heaven realm were cleansed would Mount Buzhou weaken the barrier and allow immortal emperors to enter. For the barrier to completely dissipate, a sage or a heavenly emperor had to appear in the heaven realm. Only then would the races on Mount Buzhou return to the heaven realm. As for Jiang Chongkong, he would not be able to leave even if he came in. This was what Huda meant. However, he could stretch out a hand and send something to his friends outside or bring something in. This could be considered as opening the door of convenience. Is this a form of imprisonment? Jiang Chongkong was a little depressed. He could give the reincarnation plate to the demon emperor. He could also obtain the power of heaven accumulated by the demon emperor to increase his strength. Forget it, my main body will stay here and familiarize myself with my new power. Jiang Chongkong pondered. He had just refined the crystal, which was of great help to his strength. The special aura was also tainted with god power, making his god power stronger and more special. After Huda sent the message, she had already disappeared. The blood pool also disappeared. The 3 drops of blood in the blood pool would give birth to the witch race. Now that everything was done, he was just waiting for the witch race to come out themselves. He was no longer needed. Jiang Chongkong's heart was filled with complicated emotions when he thought about how this newly born witch tribe was actually created from his own blood. After leaving the Dragon Egg world, Jiang Chongkong walked down Mount Buzhou. The power of Mount Buzhou was useless against him now. The power he obtained was somewhat similar to the pressure of Mount Buzhou, but it was somewhat different. The power of Pangu completely offset the pressure exerted by Mount Buzhou. After contacting his secondary body, Jiang Chongkong concealed himself and flew down. Without God's might, Mount Buzhou was just a tall mountain peak to him. Some immortal formations and restrictions could not stop him. After spending half a day, Jiang Chongkong arrived at the foot of the mountain. The demon emperor was still fighting, so he waited. Until night fell, the demon emperor returned with his troops. He came to the barrier alone and placed his hand on it. As the two palms touched, Jiang Chongkong absorbed the power of heaven and converted it into essence, qi and soul. 23 million. Jiang Chongkong also raised the demon sovereign to the peak of the celestial venerable realm and handed the reincarnation disc to him. After doing all this, the demon emperor returned to the demon emperor palace, and Jiang Chongkong returned to the dragon egg world to guide the little dragon king in his cultivation. Since I can't go out, then I'll give some pointers to the little dragon king and go out to look for treasures or something along the way. Peng Wanli came over eagerly. Senior Jiang, is that the yin-yang dual qi bottle you mentioned last time? Jiang Chongkong was a little amused. No wonder you come here every other day. I can ask the Spirit Beast Emperor about the yin and yang dual qi bottle, but I can't get out of here now, and I can't do anything about it. Then what happens after we leave? Peng Wanli asked carefully. Well, that would depend on what the Spirit Demon Emperor needs. However, the Spirit Demon Emperor is already at the peak of the heaven realm. I reckon that only by proving his Tao can he be satisfied. Jiang Chongkong rubbed his chin and pondered, with your meager strength, what can you bring to the Spirit Demon Sovereign? Peng Wanli lowered his head in shame. He was only an immortal emperor. The Spirit Demon Sovereign was not a weakling. The Spirit Demon Sovereign had already grown up, and he was also a powerful immortal venerable. Of course, it's not that there's no way. As long as this sovereign asks, with the relationship between this sovereign and the Spirit Demon Sovereign, the Spirit Demon Sovereign will definitely give it to him. Jiang Chongkong said proudly. Senior Jiang, look, I even shared my fortuitous encounter with you. Peng Wanli looked at him pitifully. That's because you swore to the heavens to tell this sovereign when you were drunk. Jiang Chongkong said with a straight face. I didn't force you, you were the one who wanted to tell me yourself. What can I do? The yin-yang dual qi bottle was still helpful to the current Spirit Demon Sovereign. When it was no longer useful, he would return it to Peng Wanli. However, he couldn't return it easily. He had to test this little bird to see if there were any other good treasures. Peng Wanli laid on the ground in despair. He couldn't get the treasure back. You are only left with feathers, the little dragon king said in disdain. Peng Wanli raised his head. Why don't you pluck some feathers? No, this sovereign is at the peak of celestial venerable. What's the use of a small celestial emperor's feather? Jiang Chongkong shook his head. The gap between the two was too huge. He could easily crush an celestial emperor's feather. Then, in the future, I will work for the Spirit Demon Sovereign. I will be loyal to the Spirit Demon Sovereign and only ask that the Spirit Demon Sovereign return the treasure. Peng Wanli gritted his teeth. Jiang Chongkong laughed. The Spirit Demon Sovereign didn't care about an celestial emperor golden-winged Great Peng. If the entire golden-winged Great Peng race submitted to him, he would definitely return it. Senior Jiang, what conditions do you have? Peng Wanli asked. Jiang Chongkong sighed. It isn't about what conditions I have, but what you have. You aren't of any help to me, so you can only help the Spirit Demon Sovereign. Your strength is too weak. Peng Wanli fell silent. The little dragon king couldn't take it anymore. Get the entire race to support the Spirit Demon Sovereign. He will definitely return it. The entire race? Peng Wanli was stunned. He shook his head. No, we can't go out either. For a top-tier 8th-grade immortal artifact, they were willing to sacrifice their entire race? Peng Wanli wasn't stupid. Although the yin-yang dual qi bottle was a supreme treasure, It was more of a symbol to them now. We can wait until we go out before supporting the spirit demon sovereign, Jiang Chongkong said. No. Peng Wanli shook his head. Then there's nothing to talk about. If we don't want to pay anything, how can we get the supreme treasure back? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. The little dragon king said unhappily, our dragon race is supporting the spirit demon sovereign. What is your golden-winged great Peng race hesitating for? Peng Wanli didn't say anything. He shrunk his head and didn't look at them. Jiang Chongkong sighed. I gave you guys a fortune, but you guys didn't want it. After you go out, if you don't follow the spirit demon sovereign, who else can you follow? At that time, what if the spirit demon sovereign loses? No matter what, the spirit demon sovereign won't have the chance to become the celestial Dharch. Peng Wanli muttered. Jiang Chongkong. He really saw things clearly. Even if the demon court won, the celestial Dharch position would still belong to the spirit demon sovereign. It was indeed not the spirit demon sovereign's turn to sit on it. However, everything could change. If he wanted to fight for the celestial Dharch position, what could the incomplete heavenly Tao do? Jiang Chongkong said, fine, if this barrier dissipates and the races return, the spirit demon sovereign will still have a place in the heaven realm. How about it? The immortals nurtured by Mount Buzhou could be said to be unafraid of the chaotic aura. They could survive in the primal chaos for a long time. This was something he knew during this period of time. At that time, he would bring this group of immortals into the primal chaos to capture immortal spirit. They would also be a great help. Compared to the immortals in the heaven realm, they were much more useful. Most importantly, immortal spirits couldn't enter here. There wouldn't be any immortal spirits hiding here. Unlike the heaven realm, there were immortal spirits hiding, traitors, and mutated ones. It was hard to investigate. At that time, if they killed their way into the primal chaos, those traitors might very well fall into a trap. Peng Wanli hesitated and said, This, I have to go back and ask Lord Clan Leader. No problem, I will wait for you. Also, as long as you guys support the spirit demon sovereign, I promise that other than returning the supreme treasure, there will be other treasures as rewards in the future. Chapter 785. At the top of Mount Buzhou, Jiang Chongkong was teaching the little dragon king to cultivate. Although he didn't cultivate the ancestral dragon scripture, his comprehension of the immortal emperor and immortal venerables was still very useful to the little dragon king. At first, it was only the little dragon king, but in the end, many dragon whelps also gathered. The law of primal chaos manifested all kinds of strange beasts in the air. All kinds of chaotic mysteries intertwined in the air. The innate divine patterns were exposed without any concealment. The true dragons were immersed in the profound laws. 3 days later, Peng Wanli returned to the world of the dragon egg. Following him was a golden-winged great Peng, immortal force surging, releasing the aura of supremacy of immortal Tao. The dragon whelps who were enlightened dispersed and looked at the golden-winged rock in horror. An immortal venerable, and not an ordinary one at that. Jiang Chongkong's expression was indifferent as the divine aura in his body slowly spread. Boom! The two divine powers clashed against each other. Invisible divine powers clashed against each other. Great golden-winged pings appeared one after another, producing endless golden light as they swooped down. Jiang Chongkong smiled faintly. Countless chaotic divine dragons appeared around him as he charged toward the golden rock. They didn't directly collide. Instead, they chased each other. The various great Tao profundities corroborated each other and competed against each other. The scene in front of him changed. A giant golden-winged great Peng that was tens of thousands of feet long appeared. Jiang Chongkong transformed into a 10,000 zhang long divine dragon, and the two of them confronted each other. Yin and Yang Qi fell, and countless great Tao marks appeared. The chaotic divine power interweaved, and the boundless primal chaos contained endless possibilities. The primal chaos force devoured the Yin and Yang Qi, and within the primal chaos, the yin and yang qi transformed into resplendent light. In the outside world, a few old dragons watched quietly and did not interfere. Little Dragon King and the other dragon whelps quickly retreated. Peng Wanli also hid to the side. The two immortal Daos clashed. The two immortal sovereigns verified their own Daos. The entire world of the dragon egg was split in half. One half was an unfathomably deep primal chaos. Streams of primal chaos chi were like divine dragons or the veins of heaven and earth, manifesting the laws of heaven and earth. The other half was black and white yin and yang energy, forming an enormous treasure diagram. Countless patterns were outlined, countless profound mysteries hidden within. The few old dragons also felt a little moved. The battle between the two of them was the ultimate truth of the great Tao, allowing them to pry into different Daos. The battle of the great path between the two sides did not last long. In just 6 hours, all the visions dissipated. The yin and yang energies dissipated, and the golden-winged Great Peng turned into an old man. He greeted, "Golden-winged Great Peng race, Peng Jiutian, greets Taoist Jiang." "Greetings, fellow Taoist Peng." Jiang Chongkong returned the greeting. "There's no need to exchange pleasantries. Sit down and talk," said an old dragon. "You old geezer, I'm not here to look for you." Peng Jiutian snorted. "I'm here today to discuss something with fellow Taoist Jiang." "It's as if everyone wants to hear it," the old dragon said disdainfully and turned to leave. The other dragons also dispersed to digest the enlightenment they had just gained. Jiang Chongkong smiled faintly and said, "Then sit down, drink and talk." "Very good. I've long heard that fellow Taoist Jiang brought immortal wine. I've always wanted to come, but I've been busy with chores. Today, I must drink to my heart's content." Peng Jiutian laughed heartily. The Chaos Stone table appeared. Jiang Chongkong roasted the fierce beast meat and took out the immortal wine. He didn't have celestial venerable grade immortal wine. This was only celestial emperor grade. Peng Jiutian gulped down a jar. He liked it a lot and looked at Jiang Chongkong's ring. Jiang Chongkong laughed and took out a few more jars of wine. After drinking another jar, Peng Jiutian said, "Fellow Taoist Jiang, I understand everything. It's just that you're making things difficult for me. If you want a treasure, you have to pay a price." Jiang Chongkong said calmly, "The yin-yang dual qi bottle was obtained by me and the Demon Emperor after going through a life and death crisis. 2 top-tier 8th grade immortal artifact. Is fellow Taoist Jiang willing?" Peng Jiutian asked. Jiang Chongkong shook his head and smiled. "Do you think that I and the Demon Emperor care about 1 or 2 top-tier 8th grade immortal artifact?" Peng Jiutian frowned. "The Heaven Realm is in chaos now. The Demon Emperor isn't the Heavenly Emperor chosen by the Heavenly Tao. Which one in the Heaven Realm does fellow Taoist think can become the Heavenly Emperor?" Jiang Chongkong asked calmly. Peng Jiutian pondered and said, "The Demon Emperor is promising. Is there a difference between supporting the Demon Emperor and the Demon Emperor?" Jiang Chongkong smiled. Peng Jiutian shook his head and laughed. "Fellow Taoist, how can I not see your plans? The Demon Emperor probably wants to establish himself as the Demon Emperor." "That's right." Jiang Chongkong didn't hide it anymore. "The Demon Emperor does have such thoughts. However, I'm very curious. Why do you say that the Demon Emperor is promising?" "Because he is the Golden Crow. He has the bloodline of the primordial Demon Emperor." Peng Jiutian said, "The Heavenly Tao chose him. What about the other 2 Heavenly Emperors? The Heaven Realm has experienced the Demon Court and the Heavenly Court. Now that the Heavenly Tao is in chaos, the Heavenly Court's bloodline is gone. They need a familiar and experienced Heavenly Emperor." Peng Jiutian said, "I'm afraid not, right? The failure of the Demon Court proves that the Demon Court's destiny is over. How can the Demon Court that has collapsed be rebuilt? When a new Heavenly Emperor appears, the Heaven Realm will be revived." Jiang Chongkong said solemnly. Peng Jiutian was silent. After a long time, he said, this is definitely not feasible. Fellow Taoist Jiang, you can state other conditions. Why not? Jiang Changkong's expression sank. Just because he is the demon emperor? Has the heavenly Tao stated the so-called heavenly Tao? There is no need for the heavenly Tao to state it. The celestial court heavenly emperor is not suitable. The celestial court heavenly emperor prioritizes incense. From the beginning, he has walked the wrong path and restricted the celestial Tao. Peng Jiutian said indifferently. Jiang Changkong took a deep breath and stood up. The great golden-winged Ping race will not support the demon emperor no matter what? Peng Jiutian didn't say anything. Little Dragon King bounced to Jiang Changkong's side. He raised his head and said firmly, I, the East Sea Dragon King, will always support the previous Dragon King. That is your East Sea. The dragon race doesn't think so. Peng Jiutian said indifferently, if the dragon race supports you, the great golden-winged Peng race might change their mind. Jiang Changkong frowned. Peng Jiutian turned into a beam of golden light and left. The red-bearded old dragon walked over and shook his head. Taoist Jiang, the demon emperor is the most unsuitable choice. Taoist Aoyan, then what about the main body? Jiang Changkong asked. You are the same as the demon emperor. The old dragon Aoyan shook his head. A long time ago, the celestial emperor position was decided. Who? The demon emperor? Jiang Changkong's expression changed. Ho Tu Sage decided it? The heavenly Tao decided it. Aoyan sighed. This is a secret. Before the heavenly Tao collapsed, the celestial emperor was already chosen. Birth really determines fate. The moment the demon emperor is born, he is the demon emperor, the celestial emperor chosen by the heavenly Tao. Jiang Changkong smiled coldly. But things have changed. Some people say that the demon emperor is the true lord. Ao Yan's expression changed. Who said that? Which sage? It is not a sage. Jiang Changkong shook his head. I said it. Ao Yan, are you crazy? Did you say it? Are you planning to fight with the heavenly Tao and forcefully take the celestial emperor position? Little Dragon King narrowed his mouth. I also said it before. The demon emperor is the celestial emperor. Don't drink so much. Ao Lai's face darkened. What are you saying? You are offending the heavenly Tao. He did not want the dragon race to be destroyed by the heavenly Tao after going against it after recuperating for so many years. Taoist Jiang, you and the demon emperor are really not suitable.